Hello, everyone. Welcome back to episode 4 of Straight Outta Stanton with my fellow co host MasoKast and myself, JustCheg. As you know already, probably, or if you're new, we are just two very enthusiastic players of Star Citizen and backers. One of us is very experienced, the other one not so. I've been playing for a year. Maso has been here forever and a day. And yeah, I hope.
That about sums it up. Yeah, forever and a day. About there.
The one day makes a difference, man.
Yeah, yeah,
But yeah, so we
totally.
go through a couple of things, bring up the few the news, and then we have like a couple of sections that we're gonna go through. So make some, put it on pause, make coffee or tea, or if you're working, enjoy. As you're working, we hope we can make your day shorter and more enjoyable. So
We should just open this by saying instead of like one of us has been playing for a long time, you just say like one of us is a Star Citizen millennial and the other one is a Star Citizen boomer. There you go.
there. I'm not a zoomer anymore, right?
No, you're a millennial for sure.
Okay, sure. I'll take that. Yeah.
I'm the boomer.
Yeah, I mean, hello.
every time we say something that is like boomerish, that should just be a response. Okay, boomer.
It might get old
Back in
though.
my day, Squadron 42 was supposed to be out in 2016.
Well, we might actually touch on back in your day today, as I think about it. Also, maybe we should like add these as like keywords.
Boomer.
Millennials.
I need to make some emotes. Star Citizen
Sure.
Boomer and then one for millennial.
Yep. That would be cool. Actually, it could be a cool interaction in chat. All right, so big week behind us. Just because like it wouldn't be so big if we were in the middle of the year or something like that, but actually we're coming back from hiatus that happens each year if I'm not wrong, where around the holidays CAG just does not release many news or anything. We get some like tiny interaction on Spectrum or forums of like some tiny bug being fixed or something like that, but like in general there's nothing major. So this week we had SCL and ISC again. I was very happy to get back to my daily intake of Star Citizen official videos, and quite cool episodes to be fair. In SCL we had, I think we were both excited about like a new, can we call it like Planet Tech, because it's part of it.
Yeah, it's a form of Planet Tech for sure.
So they demonstrated the way we will get rivers, and I guess probably some other connection with like in general like water areas, and flora around them.
Dude, that was
It was so good. Like it's impressive to, like, we take our rivers for granted, but like that just made me think about like, imagine Earth without rivers.
Yeah,
such a difference, dude, right? So he just drew one thing and like, okay, and then he added water and like a little bit of forest around it. I'm like, well, I want to fly here, dude.
Well, beyond that, like from a technical perspective, you just kind of think like, it's rivers. You just like add some, some water kind of flowing down hills. But the amount of like developer time that it would be involved in kind of like creating a river system that actually looks realistic, flows downhill, doesn't like clip through weird things. That'd be an incredibly intensive developer, like that would be incredibly intensive on developer time. But like this ISC, like he showed about like how they've made it all procedural where it like automatically, and if you haven't seen ISC, go watch it. Like this one was really good.
The link is in description, by the way, for both. So
yeah. But like it analyzes, first of all, it takes the data that's already in Planetech from like a moisture perspective, and then analyzes the height maps and procedurally generates a path for that river from high altitude to low altitude, following the height maps, and based off of the moisture levels of the planet and stuff like that to create a realistic river system. And it'll also like it'll join river systems too, so it'll
Yeah.
automatically kind of like analyze, so like a bunch of different kind of like source rivers, follow them down their paths, join them into larger river systems, potentially pool them as well. Like, oh, just astounding. And then like you were saying, like with the foliage and stuff like that,
Yeah.
they analyze those kind of the pathway of the rivers, and then it'll procedurally generate the ecosystem around it too. So like if it's a more arid area of the planet but it has a river flowing through it, it will sculpt kind of the plants and
Greenery
the
and whatnot.
ecosystem,
Yeah, that belongs
yeah,
there.
like that belong there. So it'll be more dense vegetation and stuff like that around river systems. That's awesome.
It's so
Like,
cool. It just makes it more. It just makes it alive.
yeah, and just like because it's procedural, it's easy, quote unquote, to
Yeah.
just like throw those in to like any planet that they design. There's no, or there's much less
Of course.
like
Yeah. They might have to touch
designer
on it a
input.
little bit. Yeah,
Oh,
because
they'll probably have to touch it up.
so
Yeah,
here's two things that were strange for me. So first of all, they drew this river on Microtech, and the first thing that crossed my mind was like, how does that end up in a frozen ocean? Because all the oceans on Microtech are frozen, right? But that's kind of
yeah,
strange. And I'm curious, like not impossible. I'm just curious, how are they going to do this? And then the other thing that I did not really understand properly is like you saw how like he like draws a line from point A to point B, and he's like, okay, this will be the river, and then the system itself will have these balls that are green, and if they're green, then the flow is fine, right? But then
yeah,
if there's a
yeah,
white ball, that means that there's something wrong with the elevation, right? So if it goes green, white, green, it means that the white one is above the level of the green one.
yeah, yeah, and it can't find a route.
Yeah, but does that mean that developer has to actually change the elevation of the terrain, or will the engine or whatever the however it's written, will that allow it to like re-elevate the terrain? Because we know they have like elevation tools. They showed that as well, which is really impressive.
Yeah, like in this one, obviously it requires developer intervention. Like they have to look for those white markers and then like lower the terrain so that the river can kind of flow through it without looking funny. But like this is an early rendition of the river tech, so it would not surprise me at all if eventually it was smarter and it
I
would
mean,
either
water finds the
find.
way, you know?
Exactly. Yeah, it'll either find a way, or I don't know, who knows? It could eventually it could just be something that developers are going to have to tackle, but
Sure.
like that is what that new studio that they're opening up in Montreal is going to do. Like
Oh
that's
shit.
literally their
Oh, but the
job.
tech did not come from that studio, right? So they will
No,
probably
no, no.
they just probably give the tech to these guys,
Yeah.
train them, which they were touching on later on in SC Live with
Yeah.
Jeremiah and Jared, where like well, it's a segue, but like we can make stuff, and then but then we still need to train people how to use,
Yeah.
right? So I guess
That's
that's
exactly it.
how that goes. And then
But
obviously studio makes like bunch of plans with using that tech as well.
yeah, yeah. So basically regardless of whether or not it takes developer time, they like it'll be useful because like they'll be able to get the bulk of the work done procedurally and then just have somebody go in and tweak it, or if they kind of perfect the system to a point where it can automatically do that, that's probably how they'll do it. And then like your Planet Tech guys in Montreal will basically just go around and fix little quirks and bugs and stuff like that. And obviously like the art teams will still have to do a bunch with this, but man, I think
Sure.
it's really cool.
I can't
And
wait. Like this, I know this sounds crazy, but if there's a river, you can actually fly above and kind of like explore it. It
yeah,
like it's
yeah,
so much because it's alive, and it's so much different than flying above endless mountains or forests, because you can follow something. And that's another thing that I was thinking about. Like, even if they under quotation screw up this and there's like issues with rivers, I'm pretty sure I don't know how soon this will come out. Like he specifically said we can have this soon, but that I mean that doesn't mean anything. But I think the players will actually be able to. I think it would be more easy to discover an issue with the river flow because people just be drawn to like fly above it. Then,
Yeah,
for
for
example,
sure.
you,
Yeah,
you you remember that chasm in that was amazing. The in Hurston where that hill was cut in half. You
yeah,
know that?
yeah,
Oh my god, it was so
yeah.
good. Like a lucky accident that had to fix because all the terrain around was also prepped out, right? But it's like easier to find something like the river flow issue than a mountain cut in half somewhere in the planet, because I
Yeah,
don't know.
absolutely. Because you're right. Like players are going to follow those rivers.
True. I
Yeah,
at
for
least I
sure.
think so. I would.
And here's something I've been saying. On various social media channels and stuff like that for a little while now. Is that I betcha River Tech ends up being used to do
You said
roads
that.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah, procedural roads.
I'm curious
Um,
about that. That would be interesting.
because ultimately, like at least from what they've demoed, it's just a question of like changing the parameters a little bit. You know, um, yeah, like I could totally see that happening, which
But
is really exciting. Because, like for example, we last week we talked about the Daymar Rally and stuff like that. Imagine if the Daymar Rally had a road section. You know, like there's multiple rallies where they go from like off road to like pavement
I
in one
I
race.
see that more as Stanton 7 part of rally
Yeah,
day for like Daymar Rally doesn't really have like Dakar Rally doesn't really have a road section. It's
yeah,
like a
but
race in the desert where you're supposed to
there
be.
are races in the WRC where they
Yes,
go from
that's what
off
I'm
road
saying.
to
Absolutely,
pavement.
absolutely. There's like rally on the. Yeah, that would be amazing. Man, I like. You know what? Racing might just be a real thing there. Like I don't know.
That would be
It'd be
really cool.
very
Yeah,
very cool. I know two of us would sign up for that. We
but
both like racing, so
yeah, but yeah, like I think if they did manage to kind of like convert this tech to roads, it could have some really cool effects on in-game events even now. You know, like if Daymar randomly has some roads that run between the outposts and stuff like that.
I mean, if nothing, it would help you coordinate, like or no
It'll help you navigate too.
navigate,
Like
not coordinate. Sorry, navigate. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah. But let me just say, like, I now that I think about it, I don't know, dude. Like, I'm totally 100% okay with waterways being procedurally generated because that's how it is in the real world, right? Like, there's a fucking
yeah,
spring and then it turns into a river, ends up in the ocean. And yeah, we can tweak it a little bit, right? But with dams and whatnot, but channels, but in general, it's just a random shit, right? When I think about the roads, I don't really want roads to be like random. I want roads to be
they won't be
meaningful.
random, but here's the thing, like even today in our modern world, like roads oftentimes follow the terrain. Um, like when you're looking at like obviously like, it's not going to be a one-to-one tech conversion,
Mm.
obviously. Because first of all, like a road, it doesn't matter if somewhere starts high and goes low. But like the tech itself behind generating that, like it generating that road, if it's looking at the terrain data to craft that road, like that's the start of the tech right there. You know, like
Uh, okay,
um
wait. Like,
like
here's another question. Fuck, dude. Like, if Earth has roads, that makes sense. And then let's say Terra has roads. That
Mhm.
also makes sense. Somewhat less than Earth. But do we
Okay.
really think that microtech or anything like that like why roads in the first place?
Yeah.
Why would humans build roads on Daymar when they had to get there with ships? Like they will have an Aurora or something like that. You know what I mean? Like
Here's why. And it's physics. Um, it takes less energy to roll something down a road than it does to fly something through the air, even with lower gravity as it is on Daymar. Um, it takes less energy to drive something down a road than it does to fly it. Um, Daymar, okay, Daymar may be an exception because, like I said, the lower gravity means that like performance on a road is going to be tricky, anyways. You know, like having the downforce to keep something stuck to the road is part of driving vehicles being able to make sense. But on a planet, for example, like Microtech, where the gravity is close to Earth normal, absolutely there'd be roads
Really?
because
You
like I
think
said,
Hurston and Microtech would actually have
yep,
roads like if we went?
yes, absolutely, and that's because, like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, flying something takes a fuck ton more energy, and ultimately that equates to money. And right now, that's not really represented
Sure,
in Star Citizen right
I
now
agree,
because
but in the end, this is a game about flying spaceships. So do you
sure,
really think that the fuel for flying around will be an issue, like an actual issue?
for you, no. For a player, no, no, I don't think so. Like
Do you think like
you
NPCs?
as a player, you'll probably always fly. However, if you were a massive corporation like Hurston and you're an executive whose job it is to keep the company running lean and to keep shareholder value high, if there is a even a like 4 or 5% profit gain, you know, off of shipping something via road or shipping something via air, you're going to take that, you know, like you're gonna so from a player's perspective, no, you'll probably always fly somewhere. I really doubt that you would ever, unless you wanted to make the drive because you wanted
Yeah,
to drive,
that's different.
you know, like you're not gonna you're not gonna drive, you're gonna
I mean,
fly.
I see vehicles as okay, racing is one thing, but that's like extreme. But the reason I see vehicles being useful in our game is um caves or
Yep.
ridges or something like fuck where you have your Andromeda, right, and you land at there or Aquila, and well, you can't get into that cave, but that's where the treasure is. So and it's dangerous, or the temperatures are fucked up, or there's
Yeah.
radiation or whatever, so you're gonna drive
They've
your
talked
Ursa or
about that.
something. Oh,
For sure,
okay.
yeah. Like they've talked about situations where like they'll make you approach on land because, you know, like there's atmospheric
Yeah.
issues, or
Okay.
like let's say let's use like a dense jungle planet, for example. Where the
Fair.
fuck do you land a ship? Like,
But
you
then you
know,
you will be able to, like, you don't have to land your ship, right?
y-
You can
I
EVA
guess it
out.
depends. Guess it depends on what you want to do and how advanced they're like self-flying or like tandem.
Sure.
But basically, like I'm sure that they will create situations where the player has to drive, but you know, like they've even said that. I think it was the 2016 Citizen Con, the one with the sandworm. Like, you know, like he was flying in with his constellation. They said, the wind speeds are too high. Uh,
It's
you know, there's
unsafe.
too much dust in the atmosphere. You're gonna have to make this approach on land. I'm sure they'll do
Fair.
stuff like that. However, like for like just shipping, if we're talking about like building roads to things and stuff like that, that's kind of a different story. We're talking about like economies of scale at that point, and like if it's a player situation between like, you know, do I just like hop in my Cutlass and haul this, you know, 100 SU. I can't remember what the Cutlass holds.
44.
40 SU,
46.
40 SU. Yeah, you know, via Cutlass, or like save 50 credits and haul that 40 SU by land. Obviously,
Okay,
you're
so
going to take the Cutlass, but
well, that's
like,
the thing. Like, do you think that was my next question? Sorry for interrupting, but like, if you are thinking this way, do you think we're gonna get big ground vehicles as well?
eventually, sure,
You
yeah,
think
I
so?
think
Because
so.
I
Yeah,
never thought about this. Because right now we have Ursa. We don't like the only ground vehicle that
Yeah.
can actually carry cargo is Cyclone. Rip, I don't remember what the name is, but one of the cyclones, it's not TR, it's one of the cyclones has one SU of cargo. I
Yeah.
thought Ursa Rover has one or two when you like fold the seats because the floor looks like it is, but it actually doesn't. So we don't have any terms of carrying cargo from point A to point B on the ground, except for one SU.
Yeah.
Okay,
think-
well, I'm wrong. ROC technically, but that's not SU. Like only if you mine it. It's like refined stones, whatever.
Yeah. I don't think it'll be soon, but I mean they've talked about roads, they've talked about land transportation. It's something that they obviously like they're building roads and stuff like that. So like or they're building ground vehicles out. So like clearly they're thinking about on the ground. And yeah, I just think that like I think that we'll see it eventually. Will we see it
Okay.
right away? Probably not. No, definitely not. But
no, of course.
But yeah, like mass land transport when they have their fucking quanta system working properly and stuff like it. Sure, yeah, I can see it.
I will counter you here and say that I don't believe so, and I see ground vehicles strictly as exploration and base defense vehicles, and I don't see it as anything else. But I would be happy to be wrong because I really enjoy ground vehicles, and I'll tell you later what I did this week. So I forgot to add that to the notes, but yeah.
It's a thing though, man. Like they've talked about like creating a quote living breathing universe. You can't have a living breathing universe without like stuff happening on the ground. And what's one of the easiest things to make happen on the ground is have vehicles driving around, right? Like
I don't know. I don't know, because just what you said, like just Cutlass already or Freelancer, which or even we even have a pickup truck that flies now.
Yeah, but okay, so like, but look at nowadays. We have airplanes. Why do we do anything on the ground? Why? Because it's cheaper on fuel, and it's easier to create bulk haulers on the ground than in the sky. Period.
We don't have. No, because most of the shipping nowadays happens through the water. Actually.
Yeah.
And air.
Yeah, but why do we not just do it in the air?
Well, we don't have spaceships. That's what I'm saying. Like, if Earth has roads, so that's our natural evolution, right? So the road was evolution from.
We have airplanes, though. We have airplanes now. Why don't we just ship
use them more?
Air?
So okay, so here you're a space nerd. So if we go to Moon within the next 15-20 years, do you think they're going to build a road there?
Yeah. Actually, yes. Not maybe roads, but they're definitely going to ship stuff either by rail or by rover on the moon. You know why?
See, rail makes sense to me because it's automated. Okay, sure.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But someone driving shit, like I just
Probably
see like
not
a spaceship being. See.
So for mining and stuff like that, if you're hauling like minables from this mine over here back to the refinery, are
on
you
the rails? Sure. To the factory or whatever.
Or even on the road. You're definitely not going to do it via spaceship because there's there's so much more consideration involved.
Wait, I'll give you another reason why. Oh my god, we're going so off. This is amazing. Actually, I love it. Yeah. No, I love it. So here's the thing. The reason we drive things here is because you can stop, get out of your truck, take a piss, buy a sandwich, eat, have sex if you want to, get back into your truck, continue driving, come back home, and enjoy the air. Okay?
Yeah, but if you did it by air, you wouldn't have to do all that stuff because it's faster.
Sure, but but the risk of
I'm trolling you right now, by the way. I absolutely know the answer to this.
Wait, you know the answer is it's going to happen?
Energy usage. It's energy usage. It costs more
but
to fly
you need energy
something.
to keep human alive and functioning because there's no air as well, right?
Really, really minimal compared to the energy of moving stuff around. And this is just math. Like this is something that I've actually, I'm not mathy, but I've seen the numbers broken down, and yeah, like the
Don't forget we're
ultimately
in the game though. Like, don't forget we're in the game.
okay,
And
sure,
our
that's fine.
ships can harness hydrogen from. You just go 10,000 kilometers up, buddy, and you stay there for half an
It's
hour. You come
not going to
back
be
and you
the
use that
case.
energy. Oh, that's
That's
gonna
not
be
going to
the
be the case.
case, 100%.
No, it's not. No, I guarantee you they're going to nerf fuel consumption, and like fuel is good. Like they want fuel to be an industry that players can actually engage in Star Citizen, and if that's the case, then fuel is going to change.
I think quantum
Absolutely.
fuel will
Mm-mm.
definitely be difficult
Hydrogen
to,
fuel
right?
too, buddy. Like yeah, like fuel usage on planets and stuff like that. Right now, it's they're you know, it's like the nerf version of fuel usage. I guarantee you it's going to become more hardcore.
Sure, but you will still be able to get fuel on your own, right? That's how they. If oh come on, the whole thing about Origin ships is that they have better ways of getting hydrogen fuel from. Like that's
Yeah,
their commercials, right?
better, sure, better. And that's one brand of ships that has a very limited role in stuff like that. Stuff like your prospector, your heavy lift stuff, you're definitely not going to be able to fucking get your fuel from just flying. That kind
Okay.
of stuff, you're going to have to monitor your fuel very carefully. That's going to be part of the sim aspect of this game, is your fuel usage. And fuel is going to get a ton more expensive. I
I know
guarantee
that.
you.
I know that. And also our rewards are going to get like way
Yeah.
down, right? So
Well, no,
obviously
your
you're gonna
rewards
have to
are,
like work to fly, but
it's going to be a balance, right? Like
sure.
there's going to be that balance, and it's going to be, if their quantum system is actually done properly, which I have quite a bit of faith
Oh,
in.
I have faith in that
Like
because
that's going to be, that's going to determine whether or not you take a job. Like as somebody who's hauling or flying or doing anything, like fuel usage is going to be something that you're taking into the equation for
unless the
everything.
company covers it, right?
Unless the company covers it, but I think that's probably doubtful unless you're like part of an org or something that's like,
Sure.
comping your fuel costs. Um
Sure.
but yeah, like that's it right there. And like specifically when you talk about Quanta, where like the NPCs outnumber you 10 to 1, like that's, like I was saying, like those sorts of considerations for whether or not you ship something via air or space or via ground, if it's a 2 or 3% difference, that's going to be enough, to warrant shipping it by ground instead of by air.
Tell
And
me,
that's why
I have another question. Why are microtech, sorry, Area 18 and probably the entire R Corp public transportation flying
Mhm.
if it's gonna be so expensive?
I'm not saying it's going to be so expensive, but also like we're talking about personal transportation here versus like bulk freight.
No, but this is not personal. Like this is something that constantly wastes energy, regardless
Yeah.
of vehicles being empty or not, right?
You've played Euro Truck Simulator.
Yes,
How much fuel do those big trucks burn
a lot,
when they're hauling?
a
Oh yeah.
lot.
Like orders of, I'll put it this way, the trucks I drive, in a single day, I burn more fuel than my car does in a month.
I know. But here's, I'm not even trying to fight your reasoning for real life situation, but I am struggling to see them going that deep into realism because they
I
still
just
have to keep it as a game.
I just think the fuel will be the thing that kicks it,
Sure.
Like fuel usage for personal
If
transport,
anything,
sure, fly. Why not? Like
okay.
cheap. It's cheap to fly a 100. You know, but if you're talking about about loading up like a caterpillar and flying it from area 14 to area 18, like that's a different story. That caterpillar or C2 Hercules or something like that is going to burn a fuck ton more fuel, than your tiny little 100i just transporting you. Like if you've got that C2 loaded, they've also talked about like how the mass of your ship, so how much it weighs when it's loaded versus when it's empty,
Yeah.
it's going to make a difference, right?
For sure, for sure.
You
It
know,
has.
so like, so would you ship 500 SCU via C2, or would you spend, you know, a few $1,000s less potentially and ship it via rail or via truck? You'd probably do that. And so that's why I think they probably will work ground
I mean, you
vehicles
do that if
into.
it's an option for sure. Yeah, but
Yeah.
that okay. We're gonna
I think
have
it will.
to agree to
Yeah.
disagree on this one,
Well, no,
which I
it's not
think is
even an
cool.
agree to disagree.
How
Like
come?
ultimately, we don't know.
Well, yes,
We
but
just
you
don't know.
think they're gonna have ground vehicles for like heavy load, and
Yeah,
I don't think so. So
yeah. Well, they've
therefore,
already got rail. They've already got rail, so like that's you
if
know.
it's automated on rails, I can see that. Yeah, but
Guess what?
we'll
Guess what?
see.
You know what the in order to do rails across a planet, it'll be the same tech as roads, pretty much.
Okay,
So
sure.
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see, but I
Yeah.
would not put it past them, especially with the fact that they've clearly shown that they're building out ground vehicles. So it stands to reason that they're going to expand those ground vehicles to be more than just
If we had
exploration
one
or
single ground vehicle that is made to carry stuff, I wouldn't even
well,
try
you
opposing
can't
this.
have those yet. There's no
Why?
like because there's no roads, so where you're going to drive. Like I can tell you straight out that a tractor trailer doesn't do very good off road.
Yeah, but you would have like specialized vehicles, right? So I'm constantly trying to go from Edmond to uh so Edmond is the closest landing area to Lorville, and I'm constantly trying to drive Ursa from point A to point B and back. Never made it yet without like navigation and everything because either 30k or I get fucking stuck or something like that. But if I did make money with Argo Cargo flying from Lorville to Edmond, buying 2 SEU of scrap and coming back to Edmond to sell it. So if I had an option to do the same with the ground vehicle, I don't care about like how much money I'm making. It's just the idea of like being capable of doing it. So I've been trying to do this, and the fact that Ursa, for example, does not have even 1 SEU of cargo is so sad to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
Like in the current incarnation of the game, like for example, if nothing changed in the current incarnation of the game and it was still just like dirt cheap to fly ships around,
Sure.
you know, and stuff like that, I'd agree with you. But we know that the fuel consumption is going to change because they want to create an industry out of fuel in game.
Yeah, but
So
there's like economic is a funny thing, right? Where if if water can be cheap, but if it's difficult to bring water from point A to point B, then the price of water will go up. So that
totally.
it's right. It's still lucrative to actually fly it around or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, interesting tangent
I
for
just think
sure.
yeah, like if the economies change, I could yeah. I expect to see ground vehicles. I'll just put it that way. One, because like it adds a richness to the environment.
Why not
So there's
Gravlev?
that. That's a good question.
Like I can see Gravlev Drake, 40 SEU cargo fucking train.
Yep. Yep.
That'd be
Totally.
cool.
It'll probably be better
All
to
right.
have a road for that though.
This is totally an Imagine Station
Oh yeah,
expandable thing. We should
we
go
jumped our
back to this.
imagine. Yeah.
No, but it's cool. I loved it. That was great. All right, so the rest of the news actually
Oh
half an hour
Jesus.
in. So
My bad.
no, I really enjoyed it. I don't care. Okay, so we had Rivers. We talked about that. Big news is that Delamar and Levski are going back to its home, which is Nyx. We're not going to talk about this much here because we did dedicate the whole topic to it because it's such big news. We currently have so IC and SCL are back, which is amazing. So that's our weekly feed, video, like actual video that comes from CIG. A PTU is currently up at the moment. We're recording this for 3.12.1. where the majority of players are testing Xeno threat, which we're also going to touch about. And there's some bug fixes, such as bounty hunter bugs, where if you've been playing bounty hunters, which I hope you did because they're so much fun. Right now, there's an issue with you would get the bounty, you fly to the destination, then you would have to wait sometimes like 3-4 minutes for your target to spawn, and then when you kill it, you would still have to wait for like another couple of minutes for the additional pirates to spawn that you can kill for call to arms. If you are lucky and it works as it's supposed to, as it's intended to, as both me and Maso experienced, you actually go there and everything is spawned, and it's a completely different gameplay. Very enjoyable, much more
More than
difficult.
more than just spawned, but like the ships are actually, and the AI are actually
Responsive,
like,
right?
yeah, behaving as they should, like attacking as they should.
Yeah,
And
I've lost
yeah,
multiple ships, including fully fitted out Andromeda and Freelancer. Like they can kill you actually, which is really really fun. So
yeah,
I really hope this makes it to live. Um, then we have this issue currently with laser scattergun weapons, and you can see this in patch notes. Right now, laser scatterguns are not are ignoring 100% of the shields, which makes it overpowered. There is also issue with other scattergun. I would say both of us figured out that, but I don't know if this is like intent or not. But like ballistic scatterguns, like ballistics in general in the game, are ignoring portion of the shields, so they will damage your hull even if you have full shields. But it feels like scatterguns are just overdoing it.
yeah.
Like you will, if you encounter M50, Valkyrie, Hurricane with like these like ballistic scatterguns, chances are you're gonna have to go and repair after whatever like happens in the encounter, right?
I guess we can kind of talk about that a little bit when we go into like what's happening in game, but
We can just
uh,
transfer it, like we're done with the news, so we can just, and that's the
yeah,
first topic, like bounty
I
hunting
think
missions and next patch.
I think ultimately, I don't know, scatterguns are going to take some balancing, and I don't.
Let's start with this. Do you want scatterguns in game or not?
This is the thing, like scatterguns slash shotguns in multiple games have been very hard to balance because
Sure.
traditionally they end up being way higher in damage than they should be.
But
You
low
know, like
range, right? So it's like usually one shot. There's an old
sure, yeah,
Quake 2 and Quake 3 like 110 meme, basically, before memes were a thing, where shotgun deals 110% damage if you are in range and all the pellets go
yeah.
into you, right? So, but you have to get close.
And this is the thing, like I don't know, like growing up, anyways, shotguns were basically known as noob guns because you didn't have to be
Mm.
that accurate in order to do a lot of damage.
Especially if you're playing on
And
consoles.
yeah, and I kind of feel like that's the case with scatterguns in Star Citizen so far. They've been really powerful for most of the game since they've been in. And okay, sure, beyond a certain range, they're pretty much useless. But
They're powerful, but not very popular. But like the
I don't know,
skilled
lately
players
they
are
have been.
actually using. Well, now they're
Yeah,
not powerful. They're bugged and overpowered. So that's different,
sure.
right?
But even previously, I remember like if you wanted to take down caterpillars, remember when caterpillars were
Yeah.
part of the rotation for bounty missions?
Yep. Yep.
You go at them with scatterguns.
I was
Like
doing it
that.
in
That's how
Mustang
you kill.
Alpha,
Yeah,
and I would just target one engine, and it would take forever. I would do the same thing that
yeah.
Burks did with like flying around
But it'd work.
Idris.
And I feel like that's unfortunately something that's going to be a persistent challenge in Star Citizen is balancing the damage uh of scatterguns.
I
And
would
I don't
have
know
an
if it's worth
interesting
it
take on that
personally.
that they will never hear probably, but you never know. But I would like scatterguns to be a crowd control weapon. So you have to
That's
come
interesting.
close, and they're like something like webbing, EMP, something like that. Like where they
Or something interesting.
incapacitate your ship.
It could even just like I don't know if this was a thing when you were playing, but or when you started playing, but missiles used to be a form of crowd control. Because they'd hit a ship and that ship would go like spiraling, basically. Like they
Oh wow.
transmit.
Okay.
This was, I think, it might have been with the old flight model, but yeah, like if you got hit with with a missile, even if it didn't do damage to you or like a ton of damage to you, it'd send your ship spiraling.
Mm.
So like something like that with a scattergun, sure, I guess it could
Because
be
then it would
potentially.
make sense. So I fly Hawk a lot, and Hawk has 6 hard points, and I'm usually flying it with like 6 repeaters. Um, but if scatter guns are crown control, then I could have like 2 scatter guns, four
Yeah,
guns, and I could have
yeah,
scatter guns on my right click, for example, or whatever,
yeah,
like alternate
totally.
fire, and
You
then I
use
could
it
use
as
it
like
in
a
like close, like a freaking M50 is flying super near. Well, now I'm gonna use my EMP anyways, but like I can imagine that being like a
part of your rotation.
supplement,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, exactly.
So they fly close, boom, you send them flying, and then you can kind of get like
Bounce it
some
off,
solid
right?
damage into them.
Out of
Yeah,
control or something like that. Yeah.
yeah.
That'd be really cool
It's
because right now the
yeah.
damage is really funky with the scattergun, and I just don't.
Well,
Okay, it might make sense to have shotgun in space on ships, but it just doesn't feel like. I don't know, man. It just doesn't feel like it belongs there. To be fair, from my perspective.
I feel it does. You're right. It does feel a little gamey, right? Like it's
Yeah,
like they want to. And to be fair, it does add a different style of
sure,
gameplay. So
but
there's
we have that.
value to it.
Wait, so okay, so guns already have range, right? So
Hmm.
so I know, for example, if they didn't change anything, that CF repeaters, the closer you are, the more damage they deal.
Okay, sure, yeah.
So right there, you don't really need the shotgun gameplay with it, right? Because you already
Well,
kind of
but it
have the
is
gimmick.
it is a very different style of gameplay,
Sh-
though. Like if you were playing with
Sure,
shotguns, your gameplay style would be like
in your
dart
face.
in,
Yeah.
you know, do some damage, and then potentially get out of range, or like just like you said, just constantly hugging and kind of making more quote precise like called shots instead of
Mm.
with a repeater where you're just like holding down the trigger and spray and pray. Um, but yeah, I just like it to me so far the way that scatterguns have worked in Star Citizen is still pretty indicative of the problems that all games have with shotguns, where they'll waffle back and forth between like way too powerful and useless and way too powerful and useless. And I don't know. I mean, maybe there's a middle ground, but I don't know. I don't know. Like I guess we'll just have to see. I mean,
True.
we're this year we're gonna encounter some pretty big changes to
Because the
combat in
shields.
shield and capacitor gameplay.
Mm.
So like I don't know, maybe they'll have a more kind of defined gameplay style too when you have weapon capacitors that are basically making it so you can't just hold down the trigger on your repeaters and fire indefinitely.
Or everyone's
I don't
just
know.
overheating weapons anyways. And
Well, it's different in this case.
I
Heat
mean,
won't be the primary limiter, but like
sorry,
it's
overclocking, not overheating. Like everyone's like constant, like overclock
oh
right
yeah,
now is just a regular thing, which I don't do it because it kind of breaks my immersion. Like I wanna, if it's like life or death, I'm gonna overcloak my guns, try to
yeah.
survive, and then go and fucking fix them because that's
That's
it, right?
that's going by the wayside. Like that the
Sure.
whole I think the overclocking weapon mechanic is going to be pretty drastically changed when capacitor gameplay gets in because
Yeah,
energy
I'm just
consumption is going
adding.
to be more important.
Yeah,
But
and I'm just adding that to like another change that might happen
yeah.
like relatively soon.
Yeah.
Uh, I,
When you have a limited amount of energy to fire at somebody, it's going to make when you fire a lot more important. And that could add an interesting dynamic to how scatterguns are used,
sure.
potentially. We're just going to have to see
I
ultimately.
have another like short topic here because I don't really like how difference between energy and ballistic weapons work in the game.
Mm.
Ballistic weapons right now are limiting you because of an amount of ammo, but there are some really slow ballistic weapons where you don't really have to worry about ammo, and
Yeah.
some extremely fast where you have to like reload like after every combat. But they are not using power from your power plant. So for me, that's
Yeah.
like enough of a reason because when I'm flying in a small ship with like one power plant and I have 4 or 6 repeaters, eventually it will like I will have power issues, right? If I'm not
Yeah.
using ballistics. And for me, this is enough of a balance, and I don't like the idea of ballistic weapons having an ability to ignore shields, because what the bad feeling that I have about this is all my theory crafting about which components I'm going to have, and like any shields that I put on my ship are not protecting me from ballistics.
Well, they are, because the ballistic bleed through is like something like 20%. So only 20% of the damage
Yeah,
actually gets
but
through.
if you get in really fucked up combat situation where you can like juggle your shields to the sides, which I started doing lately, like
Mhm.
sides, I see where I'm getting hit, and I'm like using my numpad to like balance and whatnot, which also I see is something potentially is like multiplayer, like dual crew or something like that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
it just loses value to me because then I end up being surrounded by like four ships with ballistics, and I just get melted. You know what I mean? Like especially
Yeah.
with NPCs that cannot run out of ammo or whatnot.
Yeah. That's going to change too, for that matter. But you're right about like ballistic and stuff like that too. Like that's all this is going to change too. The other thing you have to consider is that with physicalized damage, it's going to really change the way that combat happens. So I guess ultimately what I'm trying to say is right now, I wouldn't take any of this as
Okay,
particularly
that's fair. Don't get
because
me
the
wrong.
way
Like
that
I'd be okay if these ballistic weapons would deal like more damage to the shield itself, for example.
mm,
So like
well,
drain it
that's
faster. But then my
I
shield is still protecting because otherwise I don't like. I don't know,
here's
man.
the thing though, like your shield is still protecting you from 80% of the damage that that
I
ballistic weapon
know.
is doing.
If we have like
That's
proper
huge.
armor on the ship, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing too, right? Like with that right now with the hit points, right? Like 80% of the damage is absorbed, but 20% is coming through, which means it's still doing damage to you. But with physicalized damage in place, if you have a shield bleeding off 80% of the velocity of that slug, most of those, especially if you have armor, like
They would
that,
either Rico or whatever, right? Like
not
they
going to
would
do
not.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, whereas, so that's going to drastically change things as
Okay.
well. Um,
Which is another
but
reason
even
where I
right
have
now,
a problem with like ship. All of the ships having fucking glass cockpits in
well, they're not
front of
technically
the
glass.
ship. What the
Yeah.
are they more durable than armor? If they are, why are not all ships made by that? Because that protects you. You sit in that hawk and you're like protected by fucking glass, basically.
According to the lore, it's not actually a glass, it's a
Okay,
crystalline metal.
sure. Is it
Um,
more durable
it's
than
the
the rest
same,
of the body? So why are
same,
ships not made like fully out of these things?
fully
Just
glass.
aesthetically?
Psychological reasons. Yeah, psychological and aesthetic reasons.
Okay.
According to the lore, they could make a completely clear ship, but they don't do it because it
Oh, so
has
this is
negative
actually explained.
psychological effects.
Okay,
Yes,
that's
as
fair.
far as I understand, anyways.
I
This is
would
what I've heard.
really like if you
But
again, I go back to this a lot, but if you go back to, I guess planes are exposed like this, like pilots, but ships are not. Like warships have bridge way behind the bow of the ship.
this is why in Star Citizen you really have to suspend that disbelief for stuff like that, because realistically, something like a Constellation would not have the control center right up front. It would be somewhere deep within the ship where it's
right?
the hardest to get to. That's how you do things realistically,
But they're
but
starting to do this now. Like, look at
not
Perseus.
really.
Perseus
Yeah,
has a
okay, but it's
properly, look at
it's
890 jump. Like, the bridge is like back.
irrelevant. Irrelevant. We're in space. You can attack a ship from any angle.
Well, you're in space, but you're also in Atmo, you know?
Even still, I mean, in Atmo, it's the same thing.
What about
You know, like
psychological reason? Just like what you're saying for the armor.
sure, it's maybe a psychological reason, but mainly it's just like I think it's more of a game design issue.
Okay,
To be
fair.
fair, like because like it's like I said, if you were designing ships in a realistic way, the bridge wouldn't be in any way visible. It would be in
Sure.
direct center of the ship where it's the absolute hardest to get to.
Yeah.
You know, it would be hardened by armor everywhere, and you just use your sensors to navigate. But that doesn't look cool, and it doesn't
Okay,
feel,
fair.
you know, like for example, like when you're watching The Expanse, like in the Rossi, the control center isn't directly right at the front of the ship. There is no windows. There's nothing. You know,
Are
like
you
like
sure?
the
No, is it? I think they still have a bridge.
the Martian battle bridge is in the absolute center of the ship. When you're like, for
Yeah.
example, in was it no, it wasn't the Tachi, that was the Rossi. The big the Martian flagship that got into the fight with the
Sure.
stealth ship in season 2. Yeah, like that
I
bridge
know
is
which
not
one, yeah.
sticking out anywhere. You know, like that bridge is like dead center of the ship, you know, in the
Yeah,
most
they do
heavily
have
armored
screens.
section.
Like, they do have screens instead
Yeah.
of that's how they look through.
So
Yeah, I don't
yeah,
know.
like any of this kind of stuff is just like with Star Citizen is just stuff you gotta like suspend disbelief, man.
I really
You
don't
gotta
feel
suspend
comfortable
disbelief.
having my cockpit like straight forward. I don't know, man. It just
Yeah,
I still enjoy it,
yeah,
don't get me wrong, but it's cool. But like when it comes to combat, I'm like, man,
yeah,
can I have my
yeah,
ship like I want and that is another thing. Like, I want to see my ship, dude. Like,
yeah.
if it's damaged or not or whatever. Like, you don't see shit. Like, if you're in front, like you only I don't know. Anyways.
That, you know what? That is fair too, because like even if you had like a fully like strengthened a canopy, which is like bulletproof and as armored as the rest of your hull, you
Yeah.
still wouldn't necessarily want that right on the front of the ship
It
where
makes
all
no
the
sense.
incoming fire is going to be coming from. But yeah, again, it's just kind of one of those things where it's like they did it because they want you to feel like you're on a fighter jet in
Like,
space,
even
because that's
but listen, fighter jets are usually being attacked from behind, right? In dogfighting.
yeah,
They're not
yeah.
jousting like what we are doing here. And if
Yeah.
you think about it, like in space, jousting might be a thing at some point. And
You know
then
what? Being attacked from behind in a fighter jet is almost it's almost just as bad as being attacked front on.
well,
I
if you
mean,
have
okay,
no,
you
but
aren't going
listen,
to catch a
like,
bullet,
well, yeah,
but
exactly.
you're,
And even if you
you
don't
know,
catch a bullet, like, you can't fucking see of like all the bullets and shit happening in front of your face. Like, come on, man, you want to be, you know?
yeah. But all like if you get your engines, if somebody's attacking you from behind, they're punching the holes in your engines, which is like the only thing keeping you in the
Well, you
sky.
can
So
eject, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. Anyways, how
Yeah. Um,
did we get on this topic again? I don't even
I don't
remember.
know. Scattergun weapons.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
scatterguns. That's right. Yeah, yeah.
So
And
we're gonna.
I'm just not sweating it right now because I know that like like
It's not
shit's
a
gonna
final
change.
iteration. Yeah, exactly. Okay.
No, and like
I could live
the
without
like
scatterguns. I'll say that.
yeah, I maybe could too, but we'll see. Like I want to see how things turn out with when we're closer to the final iterations of the game with
Sure.
physicalized damage and stuff like that. Because another way that they could end up balancing them is that with smaller projectiles, obviously they're not going to have as high armor penetration as like a large slug, right?
Yeah.
So
And there's not enough
that,
velocity as well to like penetrate. Actually.
well, I mean, they could potentially have the same velocity, but with less mass, it just means that they're going to penetrate less. Which, yeah, so like that could be a way that scatterguns end up getting balanced out. In that is that like against light targets they're particularly devastating, but against anything with armor they're virtually useless.
Okay. Yeah.
So I guess we'll have to see.
Then it would be support weapon again, right? You're
Yeah,
fighting
yeah.
like Dragonflies, you will use your scatter guns, but then
Totally.
if there's what's the name?
I think you'll just like I think
Cutlass
like
above
right
it, then you're not using your scatter guns. Like it makes no sense unless they open the door and are holding an RPG, right, or something like
yeah, right? Like that's kind of
Situational.
it.
Yeah.
Situational. And I really think that like I think that as the combat system develops in Star Citizen, you'll see more of an emphasis on mixed loadouts as opposed to just
Oh, for
mono
sure.
loading like everybody does right
I
now.
agree.
Even right now, I would say that there's a reason why having a mixed loadout is good. Like even in PvE on my Saber, for example, right now running PvE bounties, I run a mixed loadout. Ballistics on the nose, energies on the wings, and just the way that I utilize them. You know, like for example, if you're running straight ballistics, like I said, 80% of your damage is being negated by the shields when the shields are up, and they don't do a ton of damage to shields. So unless you have something to strip shields off of a target, you know, like those ballistic weapons you're running are basically nerfed the entire time that that ship dies. So what I do with my Saber specifically is I run with energies on the wings, could technically even run distortions, but you know, and I
Distortions are very
open
good, man. Like
yeah,
better than
totally.
people know. Because just to
Oh yeah,
explain, so distortion guns are only affecting shield. So
yeah,
we
and
kind of
systems.
tested this. Yeah, we kind of tested this in Vanguard Warden, where I was in the turret with 2 distortions, and we were brawling some people like PvP, where so the pilot would attack the main target and brawl with it. I would attack the secondary target, and like by the time he goes to that target doesn't have shield anymore.
Yeah,
It's like
or
2
you could
shot,
even
poof poof, gone. You know,
or you could even focus straight forward and just help the
you can,
primary
yeah,
target by
depending
stripping
on
the
it.
shields. But
But it's
that's
so
the idea,
powerful,
right?
man.
Like mixed loadouts right now even have their use. Like,
Bro.
you know, like for example, if I'm running Badgers on the Saber, I open with the Badgers from like 2,000, 2,500 meters, and you're making those kind of shield strikes from a distance. And by the time you close to like 1,500 to 1,000 meters, which is where the like Revenants, or they're not called Revenants, the size 3 ones, I can't remember what they're called, size 3 Gatlings or whatever, you know, they're more effective at closer ranges anyways, given the bullet spread. And by kind of like staggering that in PvE, it works great. You know, strip the shields, get in close. Once the shields are stripped, open up with the ballistics, rip the target open. You know, like
Yeah.
um
And they
yeah,
want us
anyway.
to use mixed loadouts
They do.
because the
Yeah,
ships come with mixed loadouts. Like
totally. And that's like, yeah, like I really think that that later on as the combat system develops, hopefully this year, we'll kind of have more incentives for stuff like that.
hopefully this year, but whenever. As long as we
Yeah,
know like it's not final,
totally.
Let's go to what we did. It's been an hour and we are still basically in the news.
Yeah.
So
Remember how we said we were going to try to keep this down to
yep.
like 2.5 hours?
We
Yeah,
should
you just
try
need to
doing
tell
that,
you just
definitely.
need to tell Maso to shut up sometimes.
It's fine though. We're having good conversation, so I don't think it's that's fine. Okay, so we actually did play quite a lot this week, both of us. So mostly we did bounty hunting missions. I'm just gonna quickly go back to what I was not telling you. It took some time, but I managed to drive my Ursa rover on Daymar with wheel and pedals. It was a struggle to set up, and inside view is cut because right now all the ground vehicles, if you like turn left, the wheel inside, like the wheels turn left, but the wheel inside turns right. It's like it's been like that for past couple of patches. It's
Weird.
wheels and wheel and like steering wheel are not in sync, so it's really strange. So you have to like use third view because it's especially with the wheel, like you turn it and on the screen in front of you the two wheels like fuck.
Oh no.
It's such a mind fuck. So I don't know how these guys did it in Daymar Rally and all that, but like holy shit.
You just get used to ignoring the way the steering wheel is turning.
I just third person and that's it.
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
with actual like difference in pressure and like in sensitive wheel, driving Ursa rover around Daymar was such a good experience, man.
I
Like,
can see that. I can see that for sure.
holy shit, I loved it. I loved it. So yeah, I just wanted to mention that because I did that. That was one of my days, like what I was doing, and I tried with the what's the name, ROC. It's kind of strange because ROC has dual sticks inside. So if you're like inside and you're like driving the wheel and you see like the character actually using the sticks, it's kind of funny. But anyways, like the feel is there. And
ROC is supposed to be like a skid steer, basically. That's the way I look at it. It's like a skid steer control. Like, I don't know what they call them over in Europe. Bobcats?
Bobcats, yeah, the small, yeah, I
Yeah.
drove that actually. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
It's such
Yeah.
a good experience. Yeah, except for like it's insanely fast. I'm surprised
It
no one
is. It's
used
way too
ROC
fast.
for fucking Daymar Rally. Maybe they
Oh,
forbid it, but like shit,
you know
dude.
what they've said though? They've said that they're revisiting how vehicles and stuff accelerate in games. So
They did that
yeah.
already. Not accelerate,
Oh, they
brake.
did.
So what they did before,
Oh,
your gas pedal in the ground vehicle is 1-0, where like you either, if you press the key, you add maximum amount of gas, and when you release, what happens is like you brake. So right now they removed that brake, so when you release, the vehicle will slow down naturally, right?
Right.
Which
Okay.
gives
Okay.
so
Okay.
much more immersiveness because that's how it is, right?
Yeah.
Now
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
all should be affected by atmosphere as well, but and
Gravity.
gravity, but I don't know how much it actually is. Like I didn't test it that much, but like if you have a wheel, it takes some time to set it up because it's like having like that is like having HOTAS and the wheel and maybe the second stick and keyboard and mouse and like holy shit, dude! Like
Just
it's
peripherals.
crazy. Yeah.
Every.
Okay, so yeah, when it comes to bounty hunting missions, we talked about this. We both played them a lot, made quite a lot of money actually. I'm on a mission to get Phoenix in game.
I had some.
Go for it.
No, I was just gonna say I had some issues with mine where I actually like I think I because my client was crashing and I was having issues with the missions and stuff like that. I lost like most of my bounty hunting reputation in Crusader. I had to like grind it back up again.
Okay, that never happened to me.
Yeah,
I
like,
would run out of missions and then change server and then
I went down from having the high and very highs in Crusader, and then I had a couple client crashes that caused me to fail, and a couple situations where like just like randomly my ship exploded and I failed.
they're
Like
changing that in the patch, by the way. Like if with 3.12.1, if you fail the mission because of 30k or whatnot, you're not gonna lose reputation anymore.
so I did that. Ultimately, I didn't care because it's like it's
Sure.
easy enough to back up. But like I had to basically step back. I think it was on Friday from Star Citizen because like just like a combination of client crashes and
Rough.
servers being on like a couple of really rough servers. I was just like I gotta stop. Like I've lost all my reputation. I have to basically regrind all these missions because it's been rough. So yeah,
Okay.
that was something week.
If you were following the podcast so far, you know that I personally had a really rough time since 3.12 came out, and even 3.11 was very, very rough.
Yeah.
This week, I played every day for around 4 or 5 hours every day. I am happy to report, and hopefully I'm not gonna jinx this, 130k in a whole week, Maso. Everything was streamed. That's crazy.
You know what? Actually, now that I think about it, I didn't have a single 30k either. I just had a couple client crashes.
I don't know if I had client crashes. I must have had a couple, but 130k, like that's and I play a lot. It's like 30 plus hours. 130k is just mind blowing.
That's impressive. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the people in my chat are reporting different experience. So, it just the luck of the draw, as we said before.
Well, and this was the thing with the bounty hunter missions, like luck of the draw, is especially what you were saying is like the last yesterday, I think I signed on to do some bounty missions, and luck of the draw, indeed, man. Like the server I got on, everything was just like buttery smooth. I showed up for the bounty hunting missions. Everybody was there. All the AI were functioning like effectively. I had to like really like. I went into the first fight with my Vanguard Warden, like, okay, whatever. I'm just gonna go pop some people and get some money. And like after like the first pass through there, I'm like fucking missing an engine and a wing, and I was like, oh, I actually have to like pay attention because the AI is running the server is running the AI at a tick rate, I guess, that like they're threatening. So
which is
like
amazing.
I scraped through that mission, but like man, like after the first couple passes, I was hurting. I had to go back and like repair right after
So
that
much more
because those
fun.
guys were totally.
I
Yeah.
can totally
So
see
like
some people opting out to do like less paid missions because
yeah, you
of
don't
this. And currently we have an
that's the way
issue.
it should be. That's the
Yes,
way it
I
should
agree.
be.
Yeah. So currently we have an issue here where in the patch notes again for 3.12.1, they are saying that they're fixing an issue where there's more NPCs appearing in lower missions, and they're fixing that. They will actually be proper, hopefully. And I am looking forward to, like, they also said they're fixing the way the enemies spawn, which is exactly what we're talking about. So that should not be once in a while case, but like lucky server. But actually, that should now work properly, hopefully. And I'm really looking forward to go and do bounty hunting missions in a team or 2 or 3, not like in the
Yes.
same ship,
Yeah.
but like maybe 1 Andromeda and 2 Gladiuses, or Arrow or something like that, where we all kill the main target first and then free for all. I wish
Imagine that.
that right? Fucking
Imagine
amazing.
that. Yeah, like finally missions
Yeah.
with potentially enough difficulty to warrant doing with other
True.
people.
I mean,
Wow.
you can do it solo, but I feel like it's going to be so much more enjoyable, and there's enough money to share, right?
Well, and this is the thing you should ultimately have to start weighing, right? Like, yeah, okay, I can do it myself,
But how
but
much time?
let's exactly how much time does it take and how beat up is my ship
Sure, which is
afterwards?
time and money again, because I have to go
Time
back
and
to
money.
PO,
No,
repair, jump
exactly.
again. Someone takes the mission that I was on. I've lost a mission because I wasn't there on time. There's one issue that I still have with this, and that is call to arms. I don't understand why can't we have call to arms rewards split between the group. Like,
I think that's just something to do with the mission system right now.
yeah, but
I
they're
think that's a
changing
technical hurdle.
things. So okay, but they can at least talk about this, because
Yes. Yeah.
it really changes everything. Like if I'm in a group of 3 and someone is flying more capable, let's say I'm in a constellation Andromeda, we kill the main target and I have 2 Gladius army. Dude, Andromeda, if they're tanking, I'm gonna kill everything with such ease. Those 4 size 4s gimbaled, holy shit. If I don't have to turn
Or here's a
around,
better example. Here's a better example. Say you have yourself in the pilot seat and 2 people in the turrets.
yeah, they will not
You're
get
going to be
anything.
killing those. Yeah, exactly. They're not getting any of those called arms kills. You
This
are.
is why I don't even think about, because we had this before, like where we tried, but like just playing a turret gameplay, not only that is boring, I'm sorry, but I keep trying, but it's fucking boring even when it works. To me, I don't know.
Mm.
But also, I mean, it's not boring if you're having like a good conversation with the pilot, but like
Depends
then
on
you
the
don't
ship.
need a game. Well, no,
Yeah.
Hurricane. I've been flying a turret in a Hurricane, so I pack a punch. But like between fights, I'm like, okay. Luckily, I have chat to read, or what the fuck
Oh.
am I doing, right?
Mm.
Jumping because we're jumping a lot, anyways. At least this guy knows, like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It's not.
I guess to be fair, like I haven't ever been like in turret with randos. I've always been in like comms with them and stuff, and there's always
Yeah.
that conversation happening.
Well,
so like,
that's
and I don't have a ton
fair.
of experience with it either. I've just been like the times I have been playing with like my buddies or my brother or somebody like from a stream or something. It's been fun because it's been like that social aspect makes it fun. But you're right, like
Fair.
turret gameplay by itself,
And
pretty
just
boring.
why not 2 ships at this point?
Yeah. Even at a point where like there's a clear reason. Like this is one of the things I've said a couple times, and I'm tangenting a bit here again. I'm sorry. But like if you are in an Idris, this was kind of what one of my arguments for NPC crews. If you're in an Idris, being in a turret is going to be fucking boring for most of the point. Like, okay, it might be a little bit fun when you're trying to like catch fighters and stuff like that, you know, as they're like ripping around your ship and stuff like that. But if it comes to a slugfest between an Idris and let's say just another Idris, as we've seen before in the Idris on Idris fight that they did a couple years ago, all you're doing is just basically pointing in a direction and holding your trigger down, and that's boring.
It's boring. There's no other way to like, you know.
And that is why I think in later stages of the game, when you have the opportunity to have NPC crews, you will probably in these larger ships end up running your primary crew members, like your important crew members will be people, and your turret gunners and things like that will, you know, those will probably end up being stuff that you hire NPCs to do.
Sure. Yeah.
But yeah, anyways,
I don't know.
That's,
yeah. But anyways, on top of that, like if you are, except for if you're in, but even then it's not fair. Let's say you're flying. Okay, you're an owner of a fucking hammerhead. All you have is few torpedoes, or size 5 torpedoes. I think she has like 8 or something. All your firepower comes from 6 turrets. So all of call to arms will be spread around whoever gets a better shot. And guess what? Like, you are the reason they're getting a good shot because you're flying in third person, trying to, you know, make it possible for them to score something. And you don't get paid. Like, it makes no sense. Like, call to arms is a beautiful thing in this game, but it lacks 2 things. First, why do I have to kill the main target to get call to arms bonus? That makes no fucking sense to me. No. Because it breaks everything. Like, okay, my main target is Valkyrie. I have 3 M50s around and a fucking Eclipse with size 9 torpedo. So I'm not gonna fight the Eclipse that's gonna destroy my ship, even though they don't fire torpedoes, but like, let's say they start. And I'm gonna fight fucking Valkyrie because that's my main target, so that I don't lose my call to arms money. It makes no sense. The second thing, they need to spread call to arms money, and then we're gonna have squadrons flying together, tackling these missions, not worrying about the money, but actual tactical attack, where I already know now that, for example, Gladius is very squishy in this patch. I don't know why they fucked up the shield or something, so they can go down first. If there's an Eclipse, of course I'm gonna target Eclipse. You know, I'm gonna send Hawk to maybe EMP miss, so they'll get fucked up with missiles because it's still tanky. You know, stuff like that. Like, we can think tactically instead of, oh shit, we all killed the first target and then. But with all this said,
it's obviously going to change, though, right? Like,
of course.
Like all this is obviously going to change.
And I just want to say, like, at the end, bounty hunting missions are so much more fun now than I could imagine a year ago when I started playing, because they were shit. And now they are fun. So, yeah, I want some things to change, but regardless, I'm excited and I want to play with more people. It's good. It's good.
I like that right there. Like that right there, man. Like, I want there to be more reasons to actually want to play with people.
I agree.
Like so I'm excited for the prospect of missions functioning better, you know, AI functioning better to a point where they're threatening and you have to consider taking them on in groups.
Exactly.
Like I'm really glad that we're starting to see that direction.
We are getting there for sure.
Yeah, because up until that, like, everybody always says join an org if you're going to play Star Citizen because it'll be more fun. And there's truth to that. But I find it difficult because there's no real reasons to do that outside of what you make. You know what I mean? Like that. It basically, the group gameplay right now is almost 100% emergent. You know, like it has to be
like role play. I don't even know.
Yeah, well,
it's like the game is sandboxy where it shouldn't be.
You have to make you have to make that group play interesting and fun. Because the game isn't going to do it for you.
At the expense of everything else. Like, kind of.
At the expense of everything else. Yes, 100%. So, Yeah, so I'm excited to see these bounties becoming difficult to a point where people have to start considering doing it with multiple people, just because that, like, having the game support that group play is something that Star Citizen has been missing for ever, actually,
Yeah.
since the beginning. And yeah, so yeah, it's exciting.
Next patch,
I
I
yeah,
hope it will improve for me at least. So that's good.
yeah.
You mentioned seeing this guy with a Carrack. Want to explain that?
Yeah, I was just, I don't know, I was just, what's happening in game. This very well could be down there in the gossip section, but just kind of a neat thing. We were coming off of a raid to a newer streamer, and we jumped into this guy's stream, and it was just funny because somebody, I guess, hired this guy to just like fly him around in a Carrack. Basically, it was like somebody's like obviously a wealthier backer who had a ton of money in the game and stuff like that. And this guy who was flying him around was like brand new, had never flown anything close to as big as a Carrack before.
It's a new
And
streamer, right?
yeah, he's a new
Okay,
streamer,
okay.
a new player, and it was just fun to watch him like like encounter
Raga.
the scale
Yeah.
of Star Citizen in the case of the ships. Like the only thing he'd flown up until this point was like an Aurora, basically, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden he's sitting in the captain's chair of a Carrack.
Amazing.
And like trying to come in and land on like in area 18 and like just shitting bricks, like
Yep.
trying to like get this thing that it was just fun to watch. And like kudos for this guy, like this new guy who's like experiencing that for the first time, but also like almost bigger kudos to this backer
Yeah.
who is like, he was paying this guy like $1 million to fly him
Yep.
from like Microtech to ArcCorp in this
Oh, there was
Stanton.
no cargo or anything. So because what I do, as you know, we
Well, we
talked
don't
about this.
know.
Like
I
I would pay
ah,
you to fly me
it-
for Bestic to
totally. Like
Lorville.
this
I
guy,
will trade and pay you. It's like, yeah.
this may have been
Fun.
the case. I don't really know. This
Yeah.
guy didn't know. Like it was like a this new guy was just like
What
was
the
just like
fuck is
a
going
like
on?
no questions asked. Like somebody was like, I'll pay you $1 million to fly my Carrack from here to here. And then like, he'd get from here to here and he'd be like, okay, I'll pay you another $1 million to fly me from here to here. Like there's no way that this guy in the Carrack is making any sort of money.
Sure,
He's just
sure,
like
yeah.
he's just got a ton of money and he's just having fun, like blowing these like new players' minds, getting them to fly this like large ship and trying to land it in ArcCorp for the first time. And I don't know, it was just a
That's
good time.
amazing.
It was
I'm
really
telling
fun.
you, I'm doing this with Caterpillar, and that's the reason I have Caterpillar for.
Yeah.
Trading is not a thing anymore. But like being in a ship full of cargo that you've paid for, telling someone that they will get paid when we deliver the goods, and them shitting bricks, first time flying big ship, is just priceless, dude. It's fucking
It's
amazing.
priceless.
It's so
Yeah.
good. If you
So
have
that
big
was really
ships,
fun.
do that.
Yeah.
That's fun. It's fun for both sides.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so last night I watched Captain Burke's. Oh, by the way, is this the name? Last Light Place? Is that the name of the streamer?
Oh yeah. Last Light Place. Yeah.
Link in description. Throw a follow, especially because they're new. Please help. Like, there's not that many streamers in Star Citizen community, and yeah, if you find someone that is fun to watch, there's always gonna be a link in the description, and please throw a follow, check them out. Like, why not? It's gonna make their day.
Totally. Yeah.
So, speaking of small streamers, I watched Captain Burke's. Okay, so that's crazy. I'm gonna have a link. They were on PTU last night, testing Xeno thread Jericho, but they had a different idea. Where they're not gonna like do the mission.
Yeah.
I like
this.
We're gonna be the first motherfuckers to destroy that javelin.
Yeah. That's very Captain Burke.
Yeah.
Captain Burke.
Yeah.
Do.
They didn't make it though. They crashed the server 7 times when I was there. The last try was so impressed. Like they tried so many times. It's so cool to see, dude. Like, okay, we need 20 retaliators. We need 1 reclaimer and 2 890 jumps. If they don't have money, like this guy sends money to that guy to buy. They ran out of retaliators to buy, so they start buying eclipses because they need more torpedoes, and then the way they bump the ship so that prevent from jumping and like it's just so fucking good. There's 50 people in this group on
highly
Discord.
coordinated.
It's crazy amazing to watch. And then the last try was super cool because they actually managed to have over 40 retaliators, and there's a clip where they fire torpedoes from all 40 tallies at the same time. It's like
oh my
a
god,
lot of triangles on the screen. But apparently there's either like whenever you get to like between 13 and 10% of health of javelin, the game crashes, and when you log back in, ship is gone. I don't know if they're missing like animation for it exploding, or if they just don't want people to kill it, or whatever, or it's just a PTU.
Combination of all of those.
Combination of all those. Yeah, I'm gonna report a couple more things. This is actually a PvE event where you are supposed to help that javelin, and the nice lady from Jericho Station keeps telling you to check your fire. A UE Navy ship, and what the fuck are you doing? And she can get like really pissed off, which is kind of cool touch. But the mission seems to be extremely tedious, especially the cargo holding part where you're like delivering like very unstable boxes from point A to point B to like help set up the javelin. And
okay, I'm sorry, please continue. I just got to step away. There is some sort of pet explosion happening downstairs. I'll be right back.
Don't worry about it. Go. So anyways, so technically it takes a lot of time for this mission to complete in a way that it was designed, which I like it in general. You require a lot of people to do it. The only problem with like extended amount of times is basically 30k possibility, or server, like either server crashing or clients crashing, and then not being able to get back and continue with what you have invested a lot of time into. Also on PTU, which does not have to mean anything, their money reward is really low. It's like if you complete the mission that it takes like a long time, you will get paid like 2,000 alpha UC or something like that. I'm not like 100% sure. This was more I got the answer from someone else, so yeah, I don't know, but all in all, it looks really good. So there were questions about this in my stream about, wait, we can't deal with an Idris right now in the game, it crashes the game and all that. There's a bunch of issues, lower frame rates and all that. However, what people tend to forget is this patch that is bringing us Jericho Station mission for Xenotrad is actually the same patch where we are losing the whole planet, and we are losing a really like old tech big city that is Levski. So I guess a lot of memory, we're going to talk about that in a moment, but like a lot of memory is being freed, which hopefully will help us deal with more ease with Idris or Javelin mission. Let's see if Maso, what happened, bro? Is everything okay?
Yes. Okay. So funny Unstar Citizen story. So 3 out of 4 of my cats are getting along okay with dogs, but one of my cats, who is an old street cat that was rescued, doesn't like the dogs, and he's just an asshole about it. So what he likes to do is he will park himself right in the dead center of a stairway so that none of the dogs can get by him. And I swear he does this deliberately. Like he knows.
Listen,
he knows that the dogs want to go down the stairs, but he just sits there. And anytime they get close to him, he will like take swats at them.
Yeah.
But I guess this time one of the dogs like came around the corner, didn't know he was there, and both of them freaked out. But
The cat's
yeah, anyways.
calculation had a flaw,
Yep.
like a dog actually going through, right?
So there was a flailing and barking and growling and
No blood,
hissing
right?
and I thought that somebody was trying to kill somebody, but mainly it was just Richie being an asshole again.
Okay,
But yeah,
if they're all
anyways.
good, that's fine.
Everybody's good. It's fine. Dog's probably got some scratches, but that's nothing new.
Cool. I just explained a couple of things that we talked about before, and you came back in time for something that you did not actually hear. So we talked about Captain Burks, and we talked about
Yep.
Last Light Plays. But if you don't know, there's a notorious pirate.
Ah, yes. Mr. Cutlet.
Yes, Mr. Space Cutlet. You love him, you hate him. I have massive respect for this guy because he will be super important. So he will be super important for CIG to balance piracy in general, which we need in a space game. And Cutlet is merciless and brutal, but he's not going out of his way to, break other people's gameplay. As he always says, it's very simple to run away from him, escape, log out, get on another server, and he's not going to follow you or anything. So you're not, limited to one server in this game. But he can be very annoying to those who are not willing to be part of pirates.
He's a pirate.
He's a real
pirate, man.
And he's not alone. Like he has huge back. He has a lot of following, and people are doing things with him. So yesterday, oh my god! So after Burks doing things, screwing UEE Javelin, which is an act of piracy technically, but like PVE, he hosted Cutlet, who was having more, in his words, more fun than he ever had in his life playing this game, and he plays since the very beginning.
Yeah.
So he would join a server, and then he would find people actually doing this hour-long mission to repair Javelin.
No. Oh no.
And then he would tell them, you know what? There's Xeno threat, and then there's Cutlet threat, and they would go and fuck everyone up. And he was having so much fun because instead of just leaving and doing it on another server, people would stay for an hour and bitch about piracy and telling him like, you motherfucker are breaking everyone's experience. This is a PvE event. He was having so much fun, dude. It was brutal. So like they were unloading cargo from the ships that they were loaded. They were killing people left and right. They were just not allowing them to go through. They would block the ways to get the cargo. They were like
get used to it. I mean, I will just say, like, I am primarily a PvE player.
Yeah.
I'm primarily a PvE player. This sort of stuff, like get used to it. I don't think it'll be as common as everything, but this is part of the game, man. Like if you are trying to do this PvE thing and a PvP group comes in there and decides to fuck with you for whatever reason,
tough luck, bro.
That is part of this universe.
Yep.
So at this point, your job is to deal with it, essentially.
Or
there's no
like deal with it anyway. Like leave. Tell the pirate, okay,
abort the mission, get a bigger force, and come.
Let me go.
Yeah,
something.
Pay them off.
Yeah,
come kill them. But like that sort of
you're not
interaction.
Killing these guys though. Let's face it, chances are, if you're a PvP player and PvP pirates show up, you are fucked, bro. Like you are fucked.
Yeah, if you're not good enough to beat them, sure.
Yeah.
But that's that's all I'm saying is there's going to be no like, man, you're a griefer and switching servers and stuff. Eventually,
exactly.
It's going to be
rude awakening, man, for a lot of people.
This is happening. How do you deal with it? Do you pay them off? That's an option. Do you fight them? That's an option.
Do you pay them and then die as well? Like that's also an option, because you're gonna be happy to encounter. People are not aware. I play EVE Online. Well, I don't play it anymore, but I used to play it a lot. and you would have to know, like, a pirate catches you and offers ransom, and then you will go to several orgs and ask people if his org has a reputation of letting people go or not, because chances are you're going to give them money and they're going to kill you and take everything again. You know, like, you will be lucky to encounter a brutal pirate such as Cutlet and his crew, because he is not there to draw blood. He is there to have fun in the game and profit
and make money.
Exactly. And he's gonna always, like, whenever I saw Cutlet, either in podcasts, talk shows, or actual gameplay streaming, he is a man of his word. You might not like what he does, but he's not a liar, and he will always give you an exit clause. Like, you will be able to escape alive. Now, if you don't want to pay, motherfucker, then you're gonna die, you know, or log out like a.
Well, that's the reality of it. Like, it's funny too. Like he was on Answer the Call, I don't know, last year sometime, and you know, in the comments or whatever, it was an ATC specifically about piracy, and he was, you know, that's essentially what he said. He's like, you pay us, we'll leave you alone, you know. Like,
and they're not asking for crazy amounts of money either.
No, and there's somebody in the comments, like, they're totally reasonable. They know how much money you're going to make with the cargo haul because they scan your ship. They know what you have on board.
They're not random
good pirates. These guys are playing piracy right.
Yes.
You know, they're organized.
As much as the game allows them. But
yeah, for sure. But anyways, so, you know, and somebody chirps up in the comments of one of Mike's videos, is like, I never negotiate with pirates or whatever. And I was just like, I actually commented on that. I was just like, okay, bud, but as a trader, that's going to get you dead. And guess what? That's going to affect your bottom line. You know, like, a smart trader in this situation would pay them off.
Absolutely.
Because guess what?
And then try to avoid them next time.
And sure, and like you're right. He might turn around and kill you, but even more than in Eve, reputation is going to matter in Star Citizen, because one, they're building it into the game.
Sure.
You know, but yeah, like so and I was just, and this guy kind of came back at it as well, like, wow, well, there's nothing stopping you from just killing. And sure, okay, that is a possibility.
Well, there is, but it's reputation.
100%,
exactly.
It's 100% a possibility that they're gonna kill you and you're gonna lose everything. So anyways, you know, like what's, you know, anyways. Yeah,
and they are actually incentivized by the game not to kill you, right? If a pirate catches you and you pay him off and then they leave you alone, they don't get the crime stat. They can stay in high sec without running away back to pyro or whatever, you know, and they can continue doing their shit. So they need to be smart about it as well. So they're going to try and not kill you, right?
Here's another way I look at it, and that is that, like, at some point in the game, you're going to have to consider hiring security as part of your, like, expenses for hauling cargo,
which is amazing.
Or here's my way of thinking about it: you don't hire security. You go to that. You kind of roll the dice a bit. You go into that area, and sure, maybe as you're coming to your trade lanes or coming out of in the case where Cutlet, they wait until you've bought your cargo. So you have something to lose, and then they spring the trap on you. You know, let's say it's Cutlet, and Cutlet specifically, like, he likes to sit above Ariel, the trade lanes on Ariel, because he knows they're profitable. Yep, Bezdek Lathan. So, you know, at that point, I'd go even further, and I'd say, I'm gonna cut a deal with you. This way, I don't have to hire security,
and he will accept this 100%.
Totally,
like, because that's free money, whatever, dude.
You guys want 30 grand from me? How about this? I'll give you 200 grand, and you guys stay here and keep this landing zone clear for me.
Yeah.
And I'll just run until I'm done. And, you know, here's your money. And, you know, if you guys just agree to leave me alone, I'll give you more money. You know, like,
yeah,
like that's the way you have to be kind of thinking about these sorts of pirates and stuff like that. But anyways,
Katlas also is fair, and he will teach you how to avoid him. Like, he's he's an okay duder. He gets pissed off because everyone's against him, kind of for no good reason, or like the loud crowd. But you go to his stream, he's gonna tell you, listen, currently these are the 3 routes that we are checking on each server because they're the most profitable. These are the 3 routes, or 5 or 10, that are not as profitable, but you will never find a pirate there. Like, he's gonna tell you this. It's like,
oh, I know that.
Why are you? Well, you know, but like someone has. That's what I'm trying to say.
It's more than that too. Like, honestly, frankly, a smart trader. Like, I don't go to aerial. Like, when trading was a thing, I never went to aerial. You know why? Because there's always fucking 3 caterpillars waiting to get loaded there.
Yeah.
Stupid. You know. Like, I'm not going to sit there for fucking half an hour to wait on a load. I'm gonna go trade astatine off of like Ida or something like that, or was it Magda? I can't remember now. You know, where there's nobody, you get a full load every time, and sure, okay, it's not as profitable as titanium or laranite, but
well, if you're sitting in place, not trading is not profitable.
You're not
right?
making any money. Yeah, exactly. And like, if you're going to trade from one of these like other locations, like Cutlet says, he's not bothering with that because the population isn't there.
And there's always someone going to Bezdek later. Like, he doesn't have to even worry about that. Or even better, they really like going to Trem and Myers because you can
there's no armistice.
There's no armistice, and you get a lot of titanium, and
totally. Yeah. Dude, we haven't even got to our topics yet.
Yep.
Oh, we're really bad at keeping this short.
We can. That's okay. So let's go to your main topic first, because that's big news. Levski leaving.
No. Well, okay. I kind of personally, I would rather leave that one out and then do topic, imagination station, and absolute zero effort because they flow better.
Oh, but we announced this as news. Okay.
Well, it's going to be news next week still.
Sure.
Because the PTU might actually be out and Levski might actually be gone.
I mean, Levski's not on PTU already. Oh, you mean like it might move to PU?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, let's see. I mean, let's see how it goes. We still have about an hour, so... okay, so my topic for this week was housing, hangar modules, and some other stuff that I want to touch on. And I'm going to start this with... I joined Star Citizen about just a little bit longer than like a year ago. So I missed the whole hangars being a thing. And when I started playing, I kind of wished that there was at least, even though there's like no use for hangars, I wish that there was persistence in them, so that I can like have kind of a housing and maybe invite someone in, and then they can like sit and check out a ship or two, and then walk around and be like, oh, look at this is nice, where'd you get this and that. Unfortunately, I never had that, and even crazier, like even without persistence, it's very difficult to figure out like what goes where. I don't know if you guys ever tried using a hangar, but it's a fucking shit show right now. We have the little dots, and then they're divided by sizes, and then certain sizes of dots like allow you to put certain player objects or whatever. It's really confusing. So the way I was explained, and so these are hangars, but then also housing. So this is by the information that I've harnessed over the year, not really trying to. There is a picture in my head that has formed that might be completely wrong, but I'm gonna throw it out at you, Maso, and then you're gonna tell me how far off am I. My vision of housing and because when we buy ships, we also get a hangar with it. So
yeah.
And then some ships give you really cool hangars. If you ever bought pirate ship, like pirate version of Caterpillar or a Gladius, you get the fucking that places. So you get like a pirate hideout.
Yeah.
Hangar, which has a really nice like housing inside and everything. It's amazing. It looks super cool. But I think majority of the new players don't even understand that hangars are a thing or were a thing.
Hmm.
And here's how I see it. So we know now that housing, like the way you live, or like we spawn now in a room in a hotel, kind of. My vision of this is we are probably going to be able to spawn the same way, and then we're gonna probably have, like, we'll probably be able to arrange that home place, spawn place, whatever, in a way with like flair. And then when we leave our home, I guess we are going to be able to get into our hangar, which is like an instanced hangar because our people might have it as well. Um, and be able to take out our ships from there. But I kind of feel like each hangar is placed somewhere in the universe.
Yes.
So, right. So, for example, there must be a hangar, like the basic one you get. I feel it looks like Lorville, maybe. And then there's one that kind of looks like ArcCorp or more like Microtech, or some other place. It looks like that. And then the pirate one might be in Pyro, or maybe something like, I don't know. It's like inside the asteroid, so it could be even in like Ring of Yella or something like that. I don't know. Um. So I am bummed that this, because this used to be a thing, and I want you to tell me like how were these playable. There's another thing that we can touch on here, which is the first ever social module for Star Citizen, which was Area 18 when it came out, which I also missed. So for those who don't know, when Area, and I might be wrong here, but I think I'm not. Like when Area 18 came out, it was basically a place where you were all playing in a hangar, and then you could go out of your hangar with an elevator or something that would take you to Area 18, where you could see avatars of other players and like kind of
Yeah. I
socialize,
mean,
right?
sort of. It was definitely like all these modules were separate. Like they kind of still are. Like the hangar module is separate from the PU. So like you just go into an elevator and it would basically
Load you
just
into.
put you into a loading screen,
Mm.
and then you go into Area 18.
And then
So
you could just walk around, right? Was there anything
yeah,
there, or
no, there wasn't anything because there's no persistence or anything like that. It was literally just a place you could walk around and like talk to people and chat in like a.
got you?
And it wasn't even Area 18. Like it wasn't anywhere close to as big of Area 18 as we knew it. Like it was, or as we know right now, it's a much smaller environment. The hangars, I don't like. Ultimately, this kind of bleeds into our imagination station section because we don't really know how hangars and housing is going to work yet. We've heard, we know that it's going to be a thing, like, and you're right in saying that their hangars will actually be physicalized somewhere, but I'm not really sure how they're going to keep with the like different styles of hangars because so far as I know they don't they aren't dependent on the world you're on. So in theory, you could have a what's the fancy looking one? The Revel in York hangar, I
Yeah.
think.
No, isn't
You
that
could have
the basic one? Whatever, the fancy one. Okay, never mind. Doesn't really matter.
like the way they've described it is you could have that anywhere, you know.
Oh, they're very
So
teamed. Like, I don't know.
I know that's where I'm kind of like I don't know what they're going to do with that. Because that initially was kind of like a selling feature with the packages and stuff like that. Like, oh, I want an origin ship because I want a Revel in York hangar or whatever, you know. Um, so I think that's probably going to fall by the wayside. But owning of hangars is definitely something that they have said is going to happen. Um, and they will be your, like
Home,
you'll be
right?
able to have multiple, yeah, like multiple of those around the universe. The Again, like what gets into speculation as well is kind of like, well, what does that mean? Does that mean that like you'll have this hangar and you won't have to pay rent on it? Does like because they've said that if you were just buying one, like you will be able to buy them in game as well, but there'll be something that costs you money to like own and
And probably
maintain
upkeep,
or
right?
rent and
Yeah.
maintain a hangar on different kind of worlds. So hangars and housing, like you said, are kind of the same thing, but we're not, at least as far as I am aware, unless there's been some information that I've missed, that we don't really know how that's going to work just yet.
Do you think they might just bail on that whole thing?
I don't think so.
Hmm.
I think that I think that the people who have these hangars will be able to use those in
But
universe.
everyone
That's what
now
I
has a
suspect.
hangar. That's the thing. Like any
Yeah,
ship you get now comes
yeah,
with a hangar.
sure. Yeah, that's one hangar. But somebody who buys the game afterwards may not get that.
Uh-huh.
That may be something that they have to pay for in game, you know? Whereas you just start with that
That
as a
might be a big
backer perk.
advantage actually. That no one
Oh, it
is.
might be a huge advantage,
But
especially if you have,
hmm,
like, if you have, like, I don't even know how many hangars I have, a bunch. You know,
yeah.
like if I get to pick, oh, I have a hangar in Stanton in ArcCorp, and I have another one in Terra, and I have another one in Lear, and I have another, like that's a huge advantage for me, like as an early backer, basically being able to have like rent-free places to store my stuff, you know,
But no
across
one
the universe.
actually is. A lot of people tell you how to play the game on YouTube and all that, but no one actually. I've never heard anyone telling you, "Hey, it's important to have this and that hangar." I guess because there's not enough knowledge about it, or
Exactly. Yeah, we don't know yet how that's going to work. But it's definitely something that they've talked about, and CIG has said that it's something that's going to be a thing. We know that they are planning on doing physicalized hangars and physicalized housing, though. So it stands to reason that hangars would follow kind of the same rules as they've talked about for housing, and it is going to be important eventually. Like they've talked about everything being physicalized, so eventually, like, there's no claiming your ship and being able to like summon it anywhere in PU. It'll be, if you have a ship and it's on ArcCorp, that's where that ship is
yeah.
until you move it somewhere else or pay somebody to move it somewhere else. That ship is there. um so I think that's going to be one of the primary
I guess
advantages
that's
of,
like your home address as well, where like if you claim your ship, they
yeah,
deliver it there to one of your hangars,
sure,
where you might have a
that's,
choice, where like
yeah,
having multiple hangars would make sense. But
totally.
like, here's the problem I have with that. Like, we know now that rooms where we spawn in as like hotel rooms
Hmm.
are virtual space. Like, they are where they are because you can look through the window, right? But like in what's the name, um Microtech, in New
Hmm.
Babbage, if you look through the window, you can see another ship flying around. It's not like, but then it's not physicalized in a way where it's your room and your room only. And if you're like on deck 4, room 3, tomorrow you're gonna be in deck 4, room 3. It's more like these
Yeah,
rooms. It's like your block, but it's like going around the place, whatever, right? So even if they bring the what's it, persistence to these, your room will look the same, but it will not be on the same floor every time or something like that, right? If I'm not wrong.
no, but it will eventually, or at least that's what they've said they're trying
I
for
I
anyways.
don't think that's ever going to be possible. If they're
Well,
aiming for any serious amount of players, you will have situations where two players will get in the group and have the same fucking room. And what do you do then?
you won't be there, basically.
What
Like,
if you
that's one of
group
the
up
things.
and go to the same server?
Let's use Lorville for an example, because I know
Sure.
that this one is easy for them, and that they've actually addressed directly. The habs that you wake up in Lorville are cookie cutter. There's a ton of them. They can literally just, like, that was the idea behind these habs, is they're, like, they were just rapidly developed for habitation, and there's a ton of them. And in this situation in the universe, when you have server meshing and stuff like that, their intention, whether or not this ends up being technologically feasible, is up. We'll see. We'll see. Like I said, we're in
Yeah.
Imagine section right now, but at least as they've described it, um, you will have like that hab that you are renting is your hab until you are not renting it anymore. And if there are more players that want to be in Loreville, well, you will have to find a hab that is either available or you flat out will not be able to have permanent housing in Loreville because it is not physically available.
I can't see that becoming
This
real.
is something that they have addressed directly and
Well,
said
they
that
have addressed our things directly, and then it turned out not to be the way.
other games have done this, man. Other games have
Give
done
me
this.
an example.
Ultima Online,
Haven't played it.
one of the OG MMOs.
I know about Ultima, but I don't know about
If you
this
wanted
one.
property in that game, you had to find a piece of property that
Okay.
was available. And
Sure.
guess what? The economy started to play into it in that the most desirable places for real estate were fucking expensive.
Sure, it's like
If
Dual
you could even
Universe, right?
find one for sale.
Like Dual Universe, you have to find an unoccupied, right, hexagon or whatever, octagon,
Yep.
whatever.
Yeah,
But
totally.
here's the thing, like that's fine, but then you have major cities and hotels or whatever, and what are you going to have, like people not allowing other people to go to Lorville because of this?
Yeah, essentially. I mean, you'll be able to go to Loreville, sure, but like if you want to have a hotel in some place in Loreville, for example, and there are no hotels physically available, then I guess you're sleeping on your ship.
The problem with this is, realistically, in New York, there's currently a couple of millions of people, and they all live somewhere.
Yes.
Realistically, in Star Citizen, there could be a couple of millions of people playing, which they certainly hope for, because if World of Warcraft has more than 10 at the time, of course they're aiming for a lot of people to play, right?
I'd say it's a safe bet, yeah.
Okay. So what if there's in all these games there's one center, like Jita in what's the name, EVE Online, like whatever station in Elite Dangerous, Stormwind and Orgrimmar in World of Warcraft. There's always this one place that is center of everything. Do you think there's going to be a place in the game where, without like instancing, you're going to be able to have 1 million people in different hubs? How?
Yep.
I don't think so, man. I don't know.
I don't think you'll have 1 million people. Ultimately, like, I mean, even if this, let's say Star Citizen ends up with a player base of 2 million, like even if a fraction of those, let's say 20%, want to go to a particular center, like basically what I'm saying is the universe is huge. I really like, even if you have a trade center or a few trade centers, like I don't see everybody being there all at the same time. But even if they are, they've actually addressed this directly in that, like the buildings that they're using for hotels or spawns or something like that are cookie cutter on purpose. It's so that they can have a lot of them if they need to. But yeah, like there very well might be times where like let's say the expo is going on in ArcCorp, and like it's in Area 18, but there's no places. There's
so like, what? People don't see expo.
No, it means you have to go to one of the outer reaches, like Area 17 or Area 16. What do you mean? What do you mean? Do what? You rent a hotel there if you want to.
And then how do you get to expo?
Commute.
How?
Train, other ship
from Area 17. I think we're tripping here, dude. Like I don't think. Let's say so. Let's not think about
we're
Area
imagining
18,
like far down the road.
Sure, but I don't think this is in any way possible, because let's not use Area 18 because it's very specific. It's a city planet, but let's use Microtech. So you have New Babbage or Lorville, doesn't matter. Like, but let's say New Babbage, and Expo is there, and then where the fuck is the next city?
Well, we don't have it there yet because there's
but you
only
think there's going to be multiple cities?
Oh, they've said they've said they're doing that. They're actually working on that. That's part of the where they're talking about doing the what do they call them, colonial style like settlements and stuff like that. That's part of their building blocks that they're working out to be able to put out little procedural towns and stuff like that.
Yeah, but these
Because like
procedural towns, you think you're gonna be able to like interact with that, or just like a?
oh yeah, no, the point is that there are going to be other locations other than the primary landing location. They'll just be similar to the outposts that we have right now, where they're like basic, don't really have many amenities or whatever, but like they have a landing pad, a place to refuel,
Okay, and then
probably
you
a
land
place to
there,
stay.
and there's your hub. And how do I go to New Babbage? By what? I fly my ship and I land where if there's no space anymore?
Yeah, the spaceport landing is something we're not entirely sure, but it's entirely possible that for like larger cities like this, you'd have like a park and ride style system where you like land at one of the perimeter spaceports and then take one of the trains in or something like that. Like they at least whether or not this ends up being technologically feasible, like I said, this is stuff that they have actually addressed and talked about, because this is stuff that's been these are questions that have been asked directly to the developers multiple
Of course.
times.
I mean, it makes sense. I'm asking myself this all the time.
Totally. And all I can say is that the developers and CIG so far have said that they are committed to attempting to have everything physicalized and kind of everything feeling like it's like it's a real life situation. So like they've directly addressed property demand in like high demand areas, and owning property in places like Area 18 or whatever, which may be like, very, very highly populated and tricky to get property in. And their response to that has been that they want the market to figure it out, basically. Like,
Okay.
like if it's, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I think you're right to display some skepticism, because like this is a big ask, and no other game has even tried to do something
our
like
whole
that.
lives, and MMOs especially. And
Yeah,
I understand like planets are so big that sure you can go to, just like in Dual Universe, you can go wherever the fuck and make your base where there's no one there, and that will never be an issue in our system because
no,
of how big the planets are and moons and all that.
yeah,
But main cities, I'd be ready to like chop my hand off and bet like on that they will need some sort of like mashing or sharding
it's
in order to make it work. Like
it's entirely possible that is the case, but they've said that they are not aiming for that. So they may end up failing, and they may end up having to settle on doing instant stuff in these major cities and stuff like that if the tech turns out to be just too intensive.
Not there, yeah.
But I tend to lean. I'm betting on them at this point. I'm betting on them because, like, time and time again, they've basically pulled off the impossible. Like Planet Tech, for example, like they flat out said, we can't do planets. We can't do 3D planets. Like it's just not possible. And then one of the guys worked on it in his spare time. One of the guys who works on the Crytek engine, and was like, surprise, guess what? I figured it out.
This is them saying we can't do it and then doing it. Well, this is them saying, I don't even think like I kind of see this as Chris Roberts' imagination,
If it were just CR who was saying it, I would say sure.
So what do you think? Like CR says we're gonna do this, and then Lando goes out and says we cannot do this publicly.
No, it was Todd Pappy actually specifically.
Well, yeah, but if Chris says even Todd Pappy cannot just say, if Chris goes out and says, this is how we're gonna do it. Well, yeah,
I've watched Todd Pappy just basically say like, what? No, we can't do that. Like absolutely.
This is why frankly, we like Todd Pappy more than anyone else,
I have more faith in if Todd Pappy says that this is their intention.
Sure.
Like, then probably if anybody else.
I agree with that.
When CIG says that, just because like repeatedly he's been the guy who's just been point blank and said like either yes or no, we're going to try to do it or we can't. And like I said, I think some skepticism here is
Yeah. No,
is
I
is
got you.
good.
Got you.
It's good. But like
I don't see this happening though.
but
Yeah.
I could
There.
see them pulling this off. I mean, they aren't the first game to do fully physicalized property, and they aren't the first game to do like, property demand based off of real world kind of market forces. But yeah, I mean, I could see them pulling this off. Like, and the other thing too is that the whole concept about like, well, what do you do if you want to get into city if it's full? You know, normally I would have said that's a good point, but if if and this is an if here, quantum ends up working as intended and they end up being able to do things like we saw in the latest CitizenCon on Microtech, where you have AI piloted transports and stuff like that, just running basically taxi service between 2 points.
Yeah.
Why not? Like why couldn't you basically have a situation where it's like, I'm in area 18 or area 17 because area 18's full because the expo's in town. I want to get into area 18. I'll just hop on this transport and
Okay.
pay X
Sure.
amount of
Yeah. That
dollars
that
and
Valkyrie or
fly over to
whatever is
area
flying.
18 for
Yep.
the
But
expo.
I don't know, man. Like, just like, you know, being a streamer and seeing how player base kind of reacts to things like especially nowadays with like desire for instant gratification in games
Hmm.
and just being like, oh shit, I can't land here during the expo, and then let's say 100,000 people feeling like that, and then going and bitching on forums like,
Okay, that's 100,000
shit.
people out of a player base of millions
What if
potentially.
it's a million people?
I don't know. We'll see. I think ultimately, like, see, this isn't even the first game that's really denied instant gratification either. Like, look at pretty much any survival game. You know, like Eco.
Well,
You could
look at
even
the
lump
popularity
Minecraft
of
in
these
there.
games.
You know,
Even
like
look at
all these sorts of sandbox games. This is what people are going to have to realize. Star Citizen is a sandbox game. It is a
semi
you know
sandbox.
it is a universe, but that's the thing. People are always, and this is one of the things I've said a couple times on different podcasts. People are always like, "Rah, rah, rah, wow, this EverQuest, this, like MMO, this," and it's like, there,
Well, these are
what has
theme
Star
park.
Citizen really shown that, as far as gameplay goes, that makes it seem like one of those games? Like Minecraft, or like I would say Star Citizen is way closer to Minecraft as a game than it is to like a polished MMO like Star Wars: The Old Republic or World of Warcraft. You know, so
I think
these
it's somewhere
people
in
who want
between
instant
because you already
gratification and
have
stuff like that.
you already have
Sorry,
like you already have what's the name that the reputation system with like handheld missions and stuff
sure,
like that already. So which
we
which
have.
escapes the full on sandbox. Albion Online is sandbox where you don't like fuck man, you gotta find a group and live with them and figure out how to get more territory or whatever so you get more profit and get
Mhm.
stronger, and that's it. That's your end game. And fuck, if you don't have that and you're not enjoying it, well, guess what? Me as a solo player, I'm just not playing it anymore, even though I backed it, and I think it's a
Yep.
great game. And I think while Albion Online can be made by like I don't know tens of developers, and is sold for $20, with like her super cheap tech that is played on mobile phones, can a project like Star Citizen really risk? Like, look at the sandbox games, like full on sandbox games,
Of
and
course
their
they can risk it. They
popularity.
already have the fucking money.
They need to make profit though.
Sure. But again, I I think that the sandboxy aspects of this game have been evident for a long time now, and like if and ultimately, like, I just feel like if people end up being pissed off and leaving Star Citizen, I don't know, man. I like Chris has said he's not willing to compromise on creating a game with his vision, and maybe
True.
that means that this game crashes and burns in a few years. Maybe it does, But at the end of the day, like this is a game like actually Dual Universe is a good example of a game that gives you like some direction but not much. Like I
No,
don't know.
but Dual
I think
Universe
that
just
there's
teaches you at the beginning, and then it's full on sandbox, right?
yeah, but
But then
there's gonna be people who hate that and who quit. Sure, absolutely there are. But but like
I
uh,
I'm sorry, but I love sandbox. But I can't see this going full on sandbox anymore.
I don't think it will. I think it's pretty clear that it's going for a hybrid version of that, but
Hybrid,
there's a
yeah, I
sandbox
agree.
aspect of it that
Sure.
people are just going to have to acknowledge, Like if you want even in a game, and I keep bringing up Minecraft because I actually played a bunch of that
I didn't,
a
unfortunately. I
few years
never
ago,
played Minecraft.
and especially in some of the modded servers. But like if you wanted to get from point A to point B, there's no instant travel system. You got to fucking walk, bud. Like or like that's just the reality of the game. And if that wasn't what people wanted, they just didn't play the game.
True.
And I think at a certain extent, like Star Citizen is going to be like that. Like if you don't like the fact that it takes time to get from this outpost over here because it's a fucking 1,000 kilometers away from the city, well, I'm sorry, but tough, because you're 1,000 fucking kilometers away from the city, and it's going to take some time to travel that 1,000 kilometers. You know,
And that is
so
all okay for as long as like it's sandbox. But then you have an event that the game creates, such as
Mhm.
once in a year event. And if you don't show up on time, well, the flyby is gone and you did not see it. Tough
Yep,
luck? No,
yeah,
you can't do that anymore. You
you,
can't do that
you
in a, in
can.
a in a in a big game like this.
I don't know. I think you can, and
You're
they
you're
will.
stripping so because you're monetizing the game and you're selling an event to an
Yeah,
audience, and someone paid for that event
but
technically
they didn't.
and is missing it. Well, you don't know if they
No, no,
didn't.
no, no, no. So I'm sorry. I hate that argument. I paid for
I,
this game, and
sure.
therefore I am entitled to
Well, you
see
can
every
hate it,
aspect of
bro.
the
I hate
game.
it as well. But here's the reality. That's exactly what the current player base is.
Yeah, but it's bullshit though.
It doesn't
Like,
matter.
and
It's bullshit to
but
us.
but it's bullshit, and other games have basically gotten around that too. Like let's use World of Warcraft for an example.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, you paid for the money and you're paying for that subscription. But guess
And
what? If you don't have a fucking group, you're not going to see the end game content.
you are
You
so
might
wrong. That's
you
not a
might be
thing
able to
anymore.
take the group. You might be able to take the group finder.
Yeah.
But guess what? Like you're not getting the best gear out of that.
You're not getting the best gear, but the fucking group, like, there's no social aspect in World of Warcraft because even they fell on their knees and allowed not only group finder for like dungeons, but for raids. So you can complete
Yeah.
any raid in the game and get
Sure.
gear.
But you're getting shit gear.
That's even worse, like not even shit gear anymore. You're actually getting your gear can proc to a mythic level gear for years. Like that's the problem that the hardcore player base is having with World of Warcraft, which is streamers and everyone, and then everyone thinks that that's the general gist of like whole community, but it's not. Majority of players are those guys playing Raid Finder, like 90+%.
How many years did it take World of Warcraft to get to that point?
Unfortunately, only 3 or 4.
No, it did not. They did not have Raid
Red of the
Finder
Lich
or
King,
Group
bruh.
Finder until Cataclysm.
So Red of the Lich King was the last expansion, right? That didn't have it.
Yeah, I think so. But even still, like this is the thing. The point I'm trying to make here is it still stands. Like basically, you can have a successful game without bending over backwards for your subscribers and for your player base.
I don't know if you
And
can anymore.
that has been shown repeatedly.
Where? Give me the game. Give me the big ass game that does it.
Guild Wars, Star Wars: The Old Republic, they kind of had a raid finder.
What Guild Wars has raid finder, group finder, pay to progress. Like you can just day one be end game level and buy gear in Guild Wars. I'm sorry, bro, but you live in you're tripping. You're tripping. Like it's not a thing anymore. And Star Citizen is already going to allow people to buy a fucking ship.
Yeah, but that's fine though. Like ultimately, like okay, you're buying. Okay, so you buy currency, blah 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 blah, all
Yeah.
this kind of stuff. You know, and okay, some of these games have kind of like tried to streamline that aspect. Which, to be fair, like I will be honest here, I played WoW for a long time, and this is going to be really controversial, but I was totally fine with that group finder. I felt like for the most part, it took so much tedium out of the game. When I was playing it, though, I will say I haven't played in the last couple expansions. The group finder and the raid finder was basically a stepping stone to getting into like the harder content. But like, you know, like that sort of like entitled behavior is not something that has to be, you know, it catered to. That's the word I was looking for. And if anything, World of Warcraft is a good example of how that ended up doing more damage to a community than good.
No, it didn't.
Because
They're
their
just loud
numbers
voices
plummeted.
saying no, but their numbers plummeted because they're having the same game for 16 years, dude.
Yes, exactly.
And they're
That's my
still
point too.
number one MMO by far, like by far in the numbers.
Yeah.
So it's not. It's just MMO genre is dying as well. It's been 60. I'm not playing World of Warcraft anymore. I tried going back to it 3 times this year, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with the game. I just can't play this anymore. I need something new. I'm done. It's not even the game. So the diminishing of player base is not at Maso from personal.
That's a consideration for the devs for sure.
Yeah. Well, sure.
The producers are the ones who are basically saying shit. Player base is declining. How do we make it more appealing to people? And that is something that may
you know how
happen to
Battle
Star
Royale.
Yeah.
You know, like Fortnite, because you can get in, play 2 hours, full on action, and go and do something else. Yeah. And that's what it is.
And that's why, you know, ultimately the people who play those types of games will continue playing those types of games. It doesn't mean that there isn't a niche for people who want to play something a little bit more on the hardcore side.
Not millions of people.
I would say millions, but not tens of millions. Or tens
maybe
of millions,
millions
plus, like
spread across all the games that are offering that. Sure.
No. Come on. Like even the most like basic kind of WoW clones. Like if you look at there's multiple situations where people have posted games where they're like listing the different player bases and stuff like that of concurrent players, and like, you know, there are 2 million people playing a game is not out of the question at all. Like that's chump change for some of the bigger multiplayer games. So
like MMO games?
Yeah, a game like MMO games. That's what we're talking about here. So I can absolutely see, you know, a player base of 1 million to 2 million plus for Star Citizen, even if it's more of a niche game.
Let me tell you, like, I think you are tripping, and we can check the numbers for the next episode.
Possible.
But like majority of big numbers for any MMO currently is within a couple of millions and comes from Asia. Like the successful MMOs would be Black Desert Online, would be Final Fantasy 14, and these are huge in Asia, and they're like on par with World of Warcraft with all that Asian community as well.
Well, they're not really. Okay, so here we go. So the number one obviously is World of Warcraft. They're above 7 million as of 2020. And before that, they were, I think what did World of Warcraft peak at? Something like 12 million, 13 million concurrent players.
Maybe even more, but that was like during Burning Crusade and like Lich King.
Elder Scrolls Online is number 2 at plus or minus 3 million. Black Desert Online plus or minus 2 million. Guild Wars 2 plus or minus 1.5 million.
Wait. So but this how does the like Elder Scrolls Online is a very specific MMO where it's actually a single player game. If I can have some credit being one of the biggest streamers of that game for years, where like they literally have heritage of all Elder Scrolls games and people literally coming from single player game to Like this is this is something else. Like this is Tale that Star Citizen doesn't have this, right? Or Guild Wars doesn't have this, or because they just
Sure.
start. Okay, so but then let's put, and it's not really an MMO. I promise, like 90% of gameplay in Elder Scrolls Online is actually people running around solo. There is some content for multiplayer, but it's not that important. But like,
Say that for pretty much every MMO, I guess, for the most part. Like grinding levels in WoW is
no, but
pretty
like
much
end game, like end game, people go and do writs, or like dig maps or whatever, like do quests, like because there's so many quests there with like beautiful quest lines and voiced over and all that. So it's like
nice. Okay.
okay, so go on. So the next one is BDO, very strong in Asia, and
Okay.
still
Guild
having
Wars
less than World
2.
War. Guild Wars 2 is not in
Um,
Asia anymore, I guess. So I think there was
okay.
some drama
Old
there.
school RuneScape has
Mobile
a million
phones,
players.
mobile phones across mobile phone and PC.
They break it down a little bit further in here. YouTube videos in like honestly, we could go into all these, but average queries on Google for old school RuneScape 20 million plus.
Sure.
Twitch followers 420k plus. Reddit subs 360k plus. YouTube videos 1 million plus. Website videos over 12 million a month. Like Final Fantasy is number 6 at plus or
Massive in
minus
Asia.
a million, only a million.
And massive in Asia. That's a problem. That's what I'm telling you. The genre is dying. And if you exclude Elder Scrolls Online because it's a stupid, crazy niche of players, like not players as being stupid, just like it's so different than anything else because of single player, history that it has, and people just sticking to it like crazy. Trust me, I know. Nothing wrong with it, but there's like fanatism for Elder Scrolls.
Right.
But then the rest, the strong ones, BDO is now on mobile. And freaking old school RuneScape, like people play it while they're pooping on their throne, right? So you have to understand, like going to work, going back from work. You can find more popular MMOs like Lineage 2 mobile version or something like that, right? So
here's another one that talks about stuff like Destiny.
That's not an MMO, really. I mean, that's instant. It's instant MMO. It's not traditional MMO.
No, but I would consider it. I would consider it that. EVE Online has 7 million. Not concurrent, but total.
EVE Online is far for that. I wish.
Conan Exiles, World of Tanks, Star Trek.
World of Tanks, not an MMO.
The point is, like, even like Conan Exiles, for example, that's more of a survival game. That's actually in
and it's
niche.
Not an MMO. Do you know how Conan Exiles works? You have servers, like, and you have like Conan Exiles works like what Star Citizen works like now, right? Like Fallout 76. We have server with like 50 people on it, and then everyone plays their own game. It's not a living world like Star Citizen should be, like World of Warcraft, like Guild Wars.
Sure, right? But the point, like, that's almost irrelevant, to be honest. That's almost irrelevant. Because the gameplay itself in these games is something that is persistent, survival based, oftentimes very niche, and oftentimes time intensive, especially in survival games. Like,
I can tell you, Conan Exiles, for example, we're going so off topic, but Conan Exiles, for example, very much modded, like almost 90% of modded servers with instant shit and just role playing.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, I'm ultimately, at the end of the day, I think they're going to try it because it's been very clear that CR at the top has basically said he's not going to compromise. He wants to create his game. I think that there's a large percentage chance that it'll actually, quote unquote, succeed in it. Will it ever be the next WoW? Absolutely not. I've never been under any illusions.
They should not even try doing that. Whoever tried that failed and is buried now.
Totally. I've never been under any illusions that is going to be the case. But there are going to be a somewhat, I would say, at least a million people for whom this niche is what they want. Like, we're talking, like, gaming is so widespread these days. So widespread. Like, how, like, there's almost 8 billion people on this planet, you know? Like for a game's reach to be global to an extent where it can keep up an appropriate amount of player base to justify financially keeping it running. I can see it for sure. Even
I
with
don't
the
know,
more
because
hardcore,
the prices of servers are more than we can imagine. It's like crazy, and they
it's true.
don't want to have a subscription model. Like,
Yeah, that's that's something that's a whole episode almost. Like
yeah,
I know they really say that they don't want to, but I think
I want them to have subscription. Like,
this is
honestly, please.
this is CR's imagine brain going off again. Like I really don't think that the niche for Star Citizen will be big enough that micro purchases will monetize it sufficiently to be able to keep going. I think personally, I
I
think the
am
subscription model is
pro.
inevitable.
Don't shove microtransactions in my face if I'm paying for subscription and paying the game. But even World of Warcraft is doing that, and people hate it, but it fucking works. It works in Elder Scrolls Online. It works in World of Warcraft. It works in
Yeah,
Final
it
Fantasy.
works. That's the thing.
So, and that's how they stay profitable, because fuck it, like, it's a live service game. So yes, pay the game, pay the expansion, pay the fucking
Totally.
subscription, and then pay for that paint for your Cutlass Black, right? Because, well, we can,
Yeah.
like, someone will have it and someone will not.
I think people would make noise about a subscription model, but ultimately I think they'd just shut up if they really wanted to play the game. So, but I think you're right in that, like, monetization. Man, we are way off the rails now.
Yep.
Monetization will probably necessitate a subscription at some point, but that's like I said, that's almost a whole other episode.
Yeah, maybe they will come up with a completely new way of charging their game. Who knows? Like, even this shuffling your own money, what I'm doing every day, is I've never seen that model before, where I can buy ships and then melt them and then spend that money on other ships. So
Mm-hmm.
maybe something like on that top. Who knows? Like,
I know, yeah. Like a lot of streamers and content creators have said like they're gonna keep selling ships after launch. Yeah, maybe.
I
Maybe.
think I hope not.
I hope not. I
But
hope not as
I
well.
think, and then some
Beyond
people are
like
like,
basic starter packages.
but I don't care in the end. Because what difference does it make, my friend? Because if I can buy currency for money, like if I can buy UEC for money, then why can't I buy ship? It's like the same fucking shit.
Well, I think the main thing there is that it's like
It doesn't matter.
One,
If this was Eve, where players are making these ships, then sure. But it's not.
I think it's definitely a situation where, how do I say this? I don't know. Like selling currency, I feel like is easier to balance than selling ships directly. One, because, and it's potentially more money because, like, let's use the currency conversion right now, where you can spend real money for currency. I would expect a ratio closer to that right now, or like end game, than the current ship buying model. So like right now, what is it, like $10 is 10,000 credits or something like that?
Yeah.
That's how you limit people buying ships. Like all of a sudden, when buying enough currency to buy a ship is like, we're talking fucking.
Yeah, but if you make it like that, no one's gonna
$100s
fucking buy it. You don't understand?
Oh,
like
sure
they
will.
want
Sure they
people
will.
to.
Here's
No,
the thing.
there's gonna be
Here's why they will.
second currency, bro.
I think here's why they will. First of all, somebody gets to, okay, so let's say you're grinding after a, I don't know, let's just say Constellation. What are those in game right now? 4 million. So let's say they're 4 million, and you grind your ass off, and you're at 3.5 million, and like you just want that ship, so you decide to just cough up $20, buy the currency, and get the rest of it that way instead of grinding for it. That's where you'll see your currency being bought, not for buying the entire ship, but just buying enough to get this component or this ship, or
Sure.
like that's where you'll make the money from that sort of thing.
But in the
And
end,
that's why
it doesn't really matter for the player who is not willing to spend money like that, because
Yeah.
in the end, there will be a person, I can name a couple, that will easily buy the most expensive ship for any amount of currency
Yeah.
and just have it in game,
They are
and
definitely
that ship
minority.
will not mean anything anymore, because I don't know if you played a year and a half to get the character or you just bought it off the website with like currency. So
Right.
ultimately, selling ships or selling currency, to me, this is ridiculous. Like, people getting in like fiery discussion of like, they're not gonna sell ships, and I'm like, okay, are you going to sell currency? Well, yes. What the hell is the difference in the end? Because if you are selling currency or ships, you're diminishing the idea of ships being worked for. Now, sure, I can live with this. This will not make me not play the game. But to be fair, it kills a very important part of the game, which is, oh shit, this guy worked for 890 jump. Holy shit. Instead of, did this motherfucker buy 890 jump with real money or get it in game?
That's something that I really wonder about.
It
Like,
shouldn't matter too much in a game like Star Citizen, but
yeah,
I
Salty
don't know.
Mike like has talked about that a lot,
Of course.
and he's talked about like how to him as a collector, it really matters to be able to have that prestige
It
that goes
matters to
along with
me as
having
well.
a certain ship or item. But I don't know if that's the norm. You know what I mean? Like,
Probably not. But
yeah,
you know
like I
what
feel
else
like
is not a norm?
like I don't really
People
care
willing to
personally.
pay fully sandbox game is not a norm anymore, my friend. That's the thing. I think Chris Roberts is a boomer, and so
Yes,
am I.
that is very
And the
much true.
reality is, there's not that many boomers being able to play the game because they have lives. And then it all comes down to who's playing the games more. Mostly kids. Are kids going to play the game where they have to spend like 3 months to buy a shipping game? No, because they're gonna go and play Everspace 24 by that time, where they can just get the ship and fly around and kill each other.
Yeah,
So they will have to change this model where
it's possible.
kids are going to buy it, or the game will die.
I guess we'll see. I mean, ultimately, thus far, they've gotten all this funding. You know,
Sure.
selling the concept of their game
Yeah.
to
Listen,
boomers, essentially.
I want all of us boomers to be able to play this game and not worry, about game dying or anything, and being as hardcore as possible. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think you're right. I do think that statement about CR being a quote boomer in the gaming scene, I think that is really evident in a lot of his decisions about, like where he wants to try to take the game from a mechanical purpose or from a mechanical perspective. I think that's on point. I think there's a couple times where he said like, oh yeah, and I want to do the game like this, and like even I'm like, I don't want to play that. Like I think that's one of those.
You want an
it's one of those,
immediate like example?
I don't want to.
Elevator.
Yeah. Okay.
Do I really have to spend, I don't know, like 5 minutes going from the fucking room to my ship on the station?
In a box
Because
where you can't do anything.
Yeah, nothing. Because he wants me to go through it. Instead of having a fucking teleport in 2958 at the time, where like step in and I'm teleported to my dock.
Sure. And there's definitely there've been a
things.
few of those situations. Yeah, exactly. Where he said like, I really want to do it like this. I really want to, and it's like, man, like I've helped friends of mine, build video games, and I've seen this sort of idealism in some of my friends, And it's great until they get that game playing, and then they realize that that thing that they thought was so cool
Is not
isn't
fun.
fun to play,
Yeah.
and they end up ditching it. I've seen this multiple times in real life game development,
Yep.
and a lot of what CR says comes
It's
across
just
like
not
that.
fun. Yeah.
So yeah, I agree in that there will probably be things that change. No, there would definitely be things that change.
I think there's gonna like a lot will change. I think,
But I do think that they will try to do the physicalized hangars and living
Mhm.
spaces and stuff like that because people do like that shit. Like
Which people? Listen, Maso, let me tell you
the
something.
real estate
People who are
market.
playing the game now are boomers. Prove me wrong. Gaming
No,
boomers.
I don't have to. Like that's very like
It's a fact,
clearly
right?
been yeah. That's very like they've shown the demographics
do you think a 17-year-old kid now will enjoy the game in the state that it's going to?
I have no idea. Ultimately, that's kind of impossible
I
to
have kids,
say, but
like kids. I have under 20-year-olds
yeah,
in my channel who see me enjoy the game. They pay $45, play for several hours, and never come back. And they're like, "When are you going to play RDO?" Or something like that.
yeah.
And they're like, "Oh my
But
god, this ship is amazing!" And then they start playing. And they're like, "I'm gonna go and because I have 2 hours before I go to school. I'm gonna go and play Fortnite, Fork Knife."
yep. And I hear that for sure. Like but I guess I still kind of go back to the fact that like this game can be a niche game that doesn't appeal to everybody and still be successful, or at
That's what I
least
hope for.
still play.
But I
I
still
do
think they
too.
will have to change some of Chris Roberts'
Yeah.
dreams.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, they've already had to do that a
But I'm
bunch.
afraid that because the way he did this, which I admire and love, where he's like, fuck it, this time no one's gonna change it. I am in charge until the end. I'm afraid that as the time goes, he started this 10 years ago. He might finish it in 10 years. In 10 years, Chris Roberts is going to be more of a boomer when it comes to gaming. And you know what? The gamer, like the current gamer 10 years from now will be even faster,
Yeah.
right?
But here's
So,
something here's something, and here's a reason that I think specifically with respect to the original topic of like owning property and stuff
sure.
like that may stick, is that even in today's games, people like owning their own shit and having a space that is theirs. You can see that because in multiple games, multiple successful games,
Housing
like
is a
that's
thing.
a key theme.
Yes. But
And
why do you need that as a hotel room? You have your hangar, you have your planet side, base with your friends, you have your own ships. Do you need to be in a specific room with the number and the floor in Lorville?
if you paid for that room and you want to decorate it, then yes, you do. Not everybody will. And actually, that's one of the things, frankly, that they've even said in like that CIG has said about owning and renting property down on planets. It's not essential. You don't have to do it.
Yeah,
It's something that you will do if you're interested in doing that. So
sure.
the hangars I think are more of the question mark than anything, because like I just said, I don't think anybody or everybody will want to own an apartment down in area 18 on our corp, but having hangars in convenient places around the universe, that's going to be something that's pretty hotly desired, I think, just for the benefits that it'll give in the game. But yeah, I mean, yeah, that was
It,
a good I think that was a good imagination
it was
station.
very dark.
I think we've imagined the shit out of this.
True, for sure. For sure. It's very dark. And then in the end, I always, like, well, probably those who are not agreeing with me were so triggered and left already. But if you didn't, I do want to be wrong in all this because I am looking at this from a different perspective where I'm not trying to see it with, like, I don't want to see my own eye candy, which I would agree with the majority of people who are playing this game, and you must, obviously. because I want that. I'm 35 years
Yeah.
old. I grew
I
up
think you're
playing,
trying to be.
yeah, like
I,
somewhat realistic. I don't know, like
yeah, I think
with the because
that's
marketing is
exactly it.
everything, dude. We can see it already now, like in the game. Let's not go further into this because it's kind of crazy. But yeah, but I
But I
want
think
it to
you're.
be slow and difficult and all
Yeah,
that. Like I love that. That's I mean I'm playing this every day, even now.
yeah.
So yeah.
I think you're right. And I see where you're coming from. I know that like ultimately you're trying to be a realist here. And I think that there's value to that for sure.
It's like my own
Uh,
fears about the project after a year
yeah.
of like soaking it in, and hopefully I'm wrong, right?
I
At least in
I
some
hope you're
things.
wrong. I hope you're wrong too. I guess I tend to be. Oh, whoa,
More
what?
of an
My audio
optimist.
just cut out. There we
No,
go.
I can hear you. You're fine.
Okay. Weird. My mixer just started like not flashing and I was like, ah.
It happens to me as well. Yeah, it's
um yeah, I don't know. Like I guess I'm taking the more optimistic view here just because they've pulled some serious technical achievements out of their ass so far, and there does seem to be an increasingly large interest in the game as it is right now. But I will admit that it's entirely possible that like that this sort of thing will end up just being too frustrating for most of the player base, and they'll end up having to change it. Or it could just be end up being like too large of a technical hurdle, to be worth it. Because ultimately, the technical hurdles like this are expensive.
they're
So like
expensive in manpower, in like resources, and
server
then
costs,
and
yeah,
server costs, and then there's a limit to technology to how far we can actually go,
yeah.
right?
So
Which we
yeah,
were
so it's an
experiencing already in our tech demo that we were playing, right? So
yeah,
they literally had, I think they literally had to remove, which we're gonna probably talk in the next show, but they literally had to remove planet and city so that they can actually have an event, or
yeah,
maybe Orison, I don't know, but you know what I mean. Like there's a limit, and this is just scratching the surface, right? However, obviously we're waiting for the tech to improve this and enhance it, but also let's not forget that the amount of players playing the game right now and assets that we have in the game is like ridiculously low compared to
yeah,
what we are going to have, right?
yeah. What they're projected to have for sure.
My suggestion, Maso, is to leave Levski for
Yep,
next week and skip over
concur.
to your absolute zero effort and like try and keep it into 3 hours. Do you have any questions from chat?
Nope,
Okay, so how
nothing
does
so
that
far.
sound?
Sure. Yeah, I was actually going to say we could even just jump into gossip if you wanted to skip the science section as well.
If you want to keep this science section for the next week, we can do that as well.
I do. I mean, it does.
We're at
No,
2
I guess
hours
it.
40 minutes right now.
Okay. Yeah, let's just skip into gossip then if we're trying to keep this one a little shorter. If we go into the science section,
We're
we're
gonna get
absolutely
it's
going to
gonna
be
be the
in the three
longest
hour
one.
mark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, you go for it. So Stanton gossip. I'm just gonna say, like, this is for those who don't know. Like, this is just a section where both of us are like enjoying a lot of content, especially from like YouTube and Twitch. And if you find something that we think you should watch and maybe did not find, we will suggest that. And also, all of the links to whatever you're gonna hear about right now are in the description below. And also, if we ever mention anyone, like we did 3, I think, streamers so far, like all of these links but will always be in the description below, so you can check them out yourself. So, with that said, Maso, go for it.
Well, I don't know. The first one that I pulled out was just like a random Montoya video I saw. It wasn't even the whole video. It was just like the first
First
portion of a
part.
video, and I just thought it was super cool. It was like videos of people with the Idris firing the railgun at like different things. And the part that I thought was super cool was one was sitting in orbit above Hurston and firing railgun shots down onto the Hurston building. And I know that this probably isn't going to stick around. They've said that they don't really want to include orbital bombardment as a mechanic in Star Citizen. obvious reasons, I'd say it could be a little cheese. Like if you had a base down on planet and somebody just like parked
We
an
did
Idris in
this.
orbit and
Yeah.
fired
Throws it.
rail guns at it until it was done, like
It's not fun. It's
it's
just
not
not fun.
it's not fun. But in this case, watching the Idris like firing railgun shots down on the Hurston building was pretty epic, and it was pretty cool. The explosions weren't nearly as big as a projectile fired at near relativistic speeds would be, but it was still just cool to see like the zoomed out shot of this like relatively large ship. Shut up, Chegg.
No, it's big. I agree.
It's big for Star Citizen.
Yeah.
Firing down, and like seeing the projectile streak down there and like the
That
spots of light on the
railgun
building.
looks amazing as well. I don't know if you've
It
seen like
does,
the
yeah.
recoil and everything. The animation of the
yeah.
gun itself is really cool. Sound is good as always. Like sound tech.
Yeah.
These guys are amazing.
Yeah, for sure. I just thought that was super cool. So that was kind
It
of
looks
like
amazing. I
something
agree.
I think
Keep in
people should
mind
check out.
this video, like you should check it. This video that's in the very beginning of it, and then later on Montoya, who is actually leader of Task Squadron within Star Citizen, he goes on to talking about the numbers in terms of like economy of Star Citizen and like in like real money, not like in game.
Still interesting,
True.
but like the eye candy in the first part of the video, in my opinion, was the highlight.
Definitely worth a look see.
Yeah. And then next, I guess, there was Nubifire put out a video about pad camping and pad ramming. I thought that was pretty interesting, I guess.
It was a strange video, strange take.
It was
right?
it was a strange video because I feel like it kind of went all over the map at first. Like I didn't really it was very different than his normal, like very concise to the point videos. And I've noticed he's put out a couple of these lately
Yeah.
where they kind of ramble around, and they, like they're much longer than his usual videos.
True.
And in this case, I don't know, he kind of opened with some points that I really agree with. And I touched on last episode where, the experience of scale when you walk out of Port Olisar into out of the airlock, and then you see these huge like rings kind of orbiting spinning above you, and like the big gas giant off in the distance. Like it really gives you like that wow factor, that appreciation of scale. So we kind of touched on that, and I don't really see, I guess from there he kind of went on to explain to how like having those open pads that you actually had to go out and walk across through vacuum to get to, gave you an idea of the scale of Star Citizen, and like that's part of the experience. But he admitted how like, and I guess this is kind of where he transitioned to the point, though I did feel like it a little bit awkward and random. He talks about like how those open pads like that do subject people to people who are like pad ramming and pad camping and stuff like that, which is problematic from a new player perspective.
I would say
but,
I like pads. I do like land. Like if I would like a choice. Maybe pay more to get into what's the name? Hangar instead of pad.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then it would be really cool if once you touch down, okay, you can be pad rammed or hit before you land. It's a risk, right? But like once you touch down, or when you spawn your ship, but like for the time until you reach your ship and take off, that there is immunity that the base provides.
like the shields, like that's something that he said in there, was
or
like
whatever the
you know,
crap, like whatever.
maybe the
shields, yeah.
station shields cover the landing pads or something like that.
Like station covering the landing pad in a shield makes sense actually to me.
It does, yeah, that does make sense, to be honest. But like I don't think they're going to go that way. They've specifically said that they're trying to move away from open landing pads, because of the immersion issues that occur when a ship just pops into view in front of you. I mean,
listen, just to touch on that, like I think that's something that CIG could tackle very easily. would just
Yes, there
like
are a couple
ship
ways.
like just the
Pads that open up,
open
ship
up and
comes up through the
up
yeah,
or
yeah,
down,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that's it, done. Like it's
Yep.
that's it. There it
Yeah.
is, right?
Well, and
Um,
I think there'll be something of that, like, and this is something we talked about kind of in the pre-show, where like if you go to the R&R stations, um, like the L1 stations and stuff like that, if you land a smaller ship, you get assigned a pad. You don't get assigned a hangar. And if you land that ship on the pad, if you look directly ahead of you, there are big hangar doors.
yeah,
So like I could see something like that where like you land on the pad, you know, the
and it
doors open,
sucks it
they
in.
pull your ship,
Yeah,
you know, yeah, they pull your ship into the hangar, doors close, and then it despawns. Or spawns that way rather. The hangar doors open, it kind of like gets pushed out, and then you kind of come out to it.
an
So I think there's
automated system that would like
yeah, but I think he was really right in that like when you just jump into your ship in a hangar and hangar doors open and you fly out, it
it,
really does kind of take away from that feel of scale
I
because
agree.
you don't ever see it on foot, right? Like you don't ever walk, you know,
And he
really
exactly talks about PO, where like the
yeah.
first time you get out on PO pad, and you're like, this is my personal experience. Like I would only spawn in area 18, and I took a couple days for me to get out of there, and then
Yeah.
and then Reg, who got me into the game, put me in Andromeda, flew me to PO, and spawned Kruger Merlin for me, and I came out on the pad, and I was like, oh my god, dude, the rings, the Crusader in the background,
Yeah.
the I don't know, just the sheer space of open space,
And
you know.
and speaking of Crusader there too, there's a couple shots in this video where Crusader is the size that it originally
The big
was.
world Crusader, yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, because Crusader is actually smaller than it was in the initial 2.0 launch of the persistent universe,
Is the
and
new
that's
scale proper one or the old one? Do we know that?
I think the new scale is the proper one. I don't
Maybe
know,
it can change. Because
maybe. Yeah,
it's a
I
gas
don't know.
giant. I don't know.
But all I know is that like when you initially walked out of Port Olisar in like 2.0, like Crusader was huge. Like it took up a big part of the sky. And it just was like it was really epic to see
Mm.
a gas giant like that big, right?
I can tell you,
Um
without seeing that before, it's still very epic. I
yeah.
think for a new
Yes,
player,
it
it
is for
has the
sure. Yeah.
same.
Yeah.
Like if you did not experience before, it has the same effect. If you experience before, then maybe for you it's like less.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll tell you
But
one more
then
thing. Look at how
okay.
much we're talking about this video. It in
Yeah.
the end, it's a good video. Like because
I
it will
guess so.
make
Yeah.
right. It will make you think about these things, and it's a good.
Yeah.
It's an
Even
important
though
topic.
even though the first time I watched it, I was like, what is the point of this video? I don't understand it. I
Mm.
mean, he makes some good points, but I don't understand it. And yeah, I guess
When you break it
that's
down,
when you break it down, it's got some interesting stuff in there for sure. And again, like I get what they were doing when they made all these spawn points for Star Citizen in the cities. Like they wanted people to experience, you know, the immersion of like waking up, you know, getting on a train to go to the spaceport, getting into the spaceport, you know, requesting permission to launch and like taking off and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, Port Olisar was a much better new player experience.
100%. It's
Much better.
really cool to experience this once, but then it's a boomer take. And even for me, like I'm super patient, and I don't mind spending stupid amounts of time playing the game. If I'm doing trading and I go to TDD or CBD 10 times in a day and have to do the same route where
Yeah.
nothing different happens except for maybe 30k, or I bump into
Yeah.
something and die, it's
Yeah.
not fun. It's just
No.
not fun. I'm
Well,
sorry.
and it's pretty stupid in that case. Like, why do I have to take a train, transit, and stuff like this all the way to a central area to be able to sell the shit that's on my ship? That's stupid. It doesn't work that way now, for
Yeah.
God's sakes.
True.
But yeah, I don't like. I hope that eventually, they and you're right. It's like it's that repetition, you know, that kind of ruins the city experience. But like that repetition as a new player right now with no sorts of training or anything that goes before just throwing you into your ship and saying figure it out. Like if you do that in one of the spaceports now, you're almost guaranteed to crash, and you're almost guaranteed to have to do that fucking run again and again and again until you figure your ship out.
I left.
And
I left first 2 days because I just didn't have it in me to run anymore.
It's a bad new player experience. It's a bad new player experience. You know, so I would think that personally
let's be a little
now,
bit fair, because if this, because keep in mind, like, new player is thrown into Star Citizen, a very complex game, and has to figure shit out with like YouTube or whatever. Like even I have a video on like step by step how to get to your ship. But like if there's a tutorial, like another human being waiting for you in front of the room and walking with you there, and there's no fear of 30K. And
or you've done like a simulated like flight training before you can even like start the game or something like that.
Or and not having to like respawn there anymore, you know, or the NPC suggests like stop by the station above so you don't have to, you know, like get back here or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it.
In the end state of the game, it'll make sense to have somebody start in a city.
We don't need that right now, right?
So. No, because again, like most people don't even know about the free fly, like in Arena Commander. That's where everybody should be starting.
Yeah,
that's where everybody should be starting. It is in a simulation like the free fly or free flight mode in the Arena Commander, where you know, like you just start in your ship. You learn how to fly it around. You customize your controls if you need to customize your controls. You know, get familiar with flying, and then you start the game. That is that's how it should work right now. To be honest,
if we don't have it, I agree with him. Where just bring back PO to an option and put it in the first slot.
Yep,
and then 100%. Give me a mission to go to Port Toys or whatever. But Lorville or whatever, to deliver the first fucking box and get the license or whatever. But like, I will at least feel the flight. In the end, we're all playing this game to fly spaceships, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So with that video for sure, I guess you're right. Okay. So the link will be in the description, obviously. Like, watch it. But like, yes, there's some points in there that just make sense, and even though I feel like it was a little bit kind of rambly for a Noobifier video, it touches on some interesting stuff.
I agree. And I had like the same feeling. I watched it, but then until we started talking about it, I did not even realize how much of a value it has. So me too. Actually, I'm glad he did it. Yeah. But also, Noobifier is back on doing, like, because now we have all the weekly shows.
Right.
So he's back at doing his regular stuff. So if you check this video, also subscribe to Noobifier. Like, if you don't have a lot of time, and even if you do, okay. So I watch ISC and SCL, especially like live. I was like, oh man, character creation team. We don't even touch on that, but like, character creation team again, and I'm like, whatever.
I still haven't watched that.
Dude, then I started watching, and it was like Jeremiah Lee, and I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one, because that guy is so entertaining, man. He's like, I tweeted he's my favorite dev, because, hey man, he's just a fun guy, dude, and he just trolls Lando all the time. So by chance, this specific thing is fun, but like, a lot of times these are long, like hour to 2 hour long, and you will miss things. And Noobifier, what he does, he like zips it everything in like 2-3 minutes and tells you the important stuff. And I think Noobifier is like, he's a military duder, and he knows how to like put things into like perspective, and like so that like you can easily intake and actually understand what they're trying to say. And for that, I think he's actually very important, regardless of if you like him or not. Like, he's very important for Star Citizen community in general.
And like I consume, like Cheg, I consume a lot of Star Citizen content, oftentimes in the long form, but I still subscribe to Noobifier, and I still kind of watch his stuff.
He's a reminder
to get his kind of cliff notes. Exactly. Like, if I'm going to hop onto a podcast or something like that, and they're discussing a certain topic, sometimes I'll just watch the Noobifier cliff notes before I go on, just to brush up or whatever. or but also like I do find there's value to watching both the long form and the short form, because sometimes the things that he thinks are important and he
I
puts in
agree.
his video, you know, don't include all the things that I think are important.
True.
So, like oftentimes I'll watch his kind of Cliff Notes version to get an idea, and then I'll watch the long form version a little bit later on or whatever. And yeah, I'll be like, oh, that wasn't in the Noobifier video. I think that's really cool, like. So there's value to being subscribed to Noobifier, even if you are somebody who likes to
Yeah,
conform the long form content. So go do that.
definitely. The last one, I don't even think we have to talk much about it. Simply because Morphologist
Yeah.
took his time, made another video. We're not having any new ships right now, and he recently did a video about the Night City in like architect review, or how does he call it?
Yeah.
Of
Night
Cyberpunk's
City and
yeah,
Cyberpunk. Yeah.
Night City, and then that made him think about like doing the same for the equivalent in Star Citizen, which he called the biggest city in gaming, which technically it is, because it's the whole planet is basically a city, which is my note is Area 18, but actually it's ArcCorp. I mean, we don't have to talk about it. Like, amazing
No.
shots, really interesting take. Definitely 20 minutes worth of watching. Or just like top-notch production, as always, what you would expect.
Yeah. We don't have to say anything. They say a picture is worth 1,000 words, and
And his
in
pictures
this
are
case,
worth more.
yeah, in this case, like, yeah, watch it. It's beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
even if you like, the funny thing is like I'm familiar with ArcCorp. Like I remember when it first came out. Like a Star Citizen boomer, I am. I remember it beforehand. I remember, like
We were
before it
watching
was
that
in the
video
PU.
from 2016-17
Yeah,
that I wish ArcCorp was there like that, and
yeah.
yeah.
And watching this video was still entertaining for me because he just gets shots that I was like,
I,
oh, like it's still beautiful, even though I'm familiar with the landing zone and with the city
I've studied
and with the planet.
photography,
So,
and Morph maybe knows it or doesn't, but he could be DP, which is director of photography, easily, because he finds these. Oh man, like he just
yeah,
knows the angles, and I don't know if he has. Like, I talked to him a couple of times, but like I don't know if he actually has knowledge, or just like working on his talent, expanding it. But
I
like
think I
he's
think being an architect probably gives them an edge for
for
that
sure.
too. Like
They also have to make like small scale, stuff, and then take shots of that, and like you learn. Um,
mhm.
yeah. So I mean, but hey, big kudos. Like, there's not like I missed one video. So since I started playing Star Citizen, I missed one video that he made, and that was about the chair, I think. And I was like, okay, I don't care about this.
I don't know if I've watched that one.
Yeah, but I went back and watched every video of his, and he actually rated me a couple of times when I was streaming. And the last time I was like, man, I was just talking about it, and then I was like, okay, I went to find the video that I was talking about, and he actually saw that all of the videos that he made, I watched. You know how you have the red line under it? He was like, holy shit, did you watch all of the videos? I'm like, of course, dude. Whoever is playing this game needs to watch his videos. I mean,
Yeah.
what a content, dude.
This does, like, there is a little bit to discuss here without drawing this out too much longer. Just in Area 18 in general, and that is that, like you said, before we started the show, we were watching the 2017
Yeah,
uh
5957 sitcom.
yeah, CitizenCon, where they were first kind of demoing ArcCorp. And Chegg, you were kind of saying that, like, you felt like it was like almost a tease, right? Because like what they
Even
got, or
betrayal.
what they
Debate.
showed in what they showed in that video compared to what we got was pretty drastically different.
So So much,
And
man. The atmosphere, the overall feel of the place, not only like
the lighting.
technically, yeah. So that's a tech part. Like lighting is different. Um, but then you get out and there are like pads in the open area with like parked ships where you take off and fly through the city. It just sells a different picture of ArcCorp than what we are having.
Yeah. And like I was saying earlier, like there is some truth to that for sure. But I like they're not done. They're not done. And I do think that they will start to kind of get things closer to where it was. And I think Morph's video honestly did kind of like help to show,
The potential,
you
right?
know, the potential. And like just again, like as somebody who remembers, for me, remembers the initial social module in Area 18 and then remembers how ArcCorp looked when they first released it, which, like, let me tell you guys, like if you felt duped by what they showed in CitizenCon and then what the real like Area 18 and ArcCorp looked like, you know, or what it looks like now,
Nowadays,
like
yeah.
my God, you should have seen it when it first came out. It was nothing
Back
close.
in Boomer Maso's day.
Yeah. But it was like it was ugly, man. Like from orbit, like in the CitizenCon, like they show these amazing like you know spiral kind of or like circular kind of street patterns all lit up with
It looks
light
like
and
Paris
stuff like
from,
that.
yeah, at
It
night.
looks incredible, you know, from when they're sitting on the orbital platform kind of above it. And then what we got was just like the LODs were disgusting. Like it was just this low res smear of a planet. And then when you go down into there, like when it first came out, first of all, the performance was awful. And second of all the buildings looked the same. Like it just looked like a sea of red, like skyscrapers. You know, like there was no variety to the buildings. There was very little like lighting and things like that. So yeah, man. Like, but now it feels like to me, anyways, it's getting closer and closer to what it was in that CitizenCon video, and I think Morph did a pretty good job of showing that. And
Morph did a
I'm
great
hoping
job.
that it kind of I'm hoping that it kind of continues. You know, like I'm hoping that he gets to kind of revisit this video at some point. You know,
Yes.
when
That'd be
ArcCorp
amazing.
is like really done up, you know, with like proper streets and better lighting and things like that. And yeah,
I can't wait because ArcCorp is my favorite area right now, and it bums me that since I started playing, there was not a single change in that area. It's like a forgotten, thing there somewhere, and not many people are even using it. I actually, especially when I trade from Bezdek and Layton, I fly to TDD instead of CBD because I like landing in Area 18 more. But it just, I don't know. I can't wait for them to work on it, and we know they're working on it.
yeah, yep.
3 hours, bro.
Well, 3 hours. We still suck at getting it down around the 2.5 hour mark.
I
But
think up to 3 hours is okay. Last week was 3.5. That's
that was
crazy.
long.
Sorry,
We could have
guys.
easily gone that long. We skipped so
Today we
many
could have
topics
had 5 hours, man. Like, yeah.
because we just started fighting about the
True.
future of
Well, yeah.
of the project.
But it was fun,
I
and
was
I had fun.
Yeah.
Except for
Hopefully
like
it's fun to listen to.
a lot of people will hate me more and more for my direct takes and jabs at the game. But,
Whatever. That's what makes the show interesting is when
true,
we have
true,
different points of views and we can like
keep in
debate
mind
it
I
a bit.
love the game. Play it
Yeah.
every day and stream it, so yeah. It is what it is, You wanna sign us out?
Yeah. Let's sign off, I guess. If you are still with us at this point, at the how long did we say this was? 3 hours?
3 hours, 2 minutes, 45 seconds.
At the 3 hour mark. Thank you very much. Thank you for everybody who popped in and out during the stream. Like I said, we're trying to get into the habit of having these live streamed as well. We do have a question function in here, so if you're ever watching this and you want to
Extend the
fire
show.
a question or something, well, yeah, okay, let's be realistic. Yeah, it's good. That's anyways. You can fire us a question using some of the channel points or whatever. We'll get to it during our Q&A section at the end of the show. So far, we haven't had any yet, but if people are asking questions, we want to make space for a Q&A section close to the end. Yeah, we'd definitely appreciate it if you hit a like button and maybe throw us a subscribe as well if you want to kind of continue keeping up with these sorts of podcasts, forum or YouTube talk show
Yeah.
forum shows. And other than that, thanks for hanging out.
Thank you so much for being here. Yeah, we appreciate that.
Do your thing where you tell people to stay safe and stuff.
Oh yeah, stay safe, stay healthy. It's important. It's rough times. Thank you for being here with us, and we hope to see you next year. Next year.
Okay.
No, next year.
Not next year.
Week.
Next week.
Yeah. Well, next year
bye.
as well. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.